Sometimes when you think about terrible movies, you think of pretty bad plot lines, but decent visuals. You know, the likes of Disney's Wish or Ice Age 5. Maybe some of the worst movies of all time are Dougal or Norm of the North. But sometimes there are movies that are extraordinarily ugly on top of being absolutely terrible too. And we've covered all sorts of terrible movies over the years. So today I've compiled over 3 hours worth of our breakdowns of movies that don't just sound bad, they look bad as well. Please enjoy the ironic escapades of some of the ugliest terrible movies we have ever seen. Enjoy. Foodfight. We're doing Foodfight. If you don't know about Foodfight, don't worry. You already have all the context you could possibly need from these, 10 seconds of footage? Let's fully get into the terrible Foodfight. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun time. So we come flying on into our supermarket setting as it closes down for the night. Am I supposed to be able to read that? Oh, never mind. It just says market down beneath it. Oh, that clears it up.
Just closing up. Nothing much happens around here after dark.
Poof! Ugh. What? It's just a JPEG! And so the store closes down. You know, it's like that environment from Sausage Party, but with way dinkier graphics. I've just started learning Unreal Engine. I think this is actually possible for me to make right now. And after we scroll for an ungodly long take, is it really that important to see all 50 aisles? Finally, we reverse back to turn on the lights on all 50 aisles again. The place has come to life at night. It's our world. And so as Sonic sings our main theme, we get to see the wonderful world of Foodfight. I'm trying to resist commenting on it, but my god, look at the visuals! Look at these characters! The lighting, the shadows, my god! For the first time, I had to retry getting the footage right for this movie, because it's so condensed, and it didn't fix it! Look at this! And we haven't even gotten to the animation yet. What is that? Why? There is no context here. Just boring, slow bow, and then pistol whip speed cartoon physics. And then there's the dialogue from this town.
I am so excited to... Hey, that hurt.
Oh, wow. What? That's Mr. Clean back there. And so with our colorful world established, it's time to finally meet our protagonists.
I'm giving you one last chance to hand them over before I cash in your coupons for you.
What an intro! This isn't meant to be parody, but it's so good. So what's going on here is that our boy Dex Dog Detective is confronting Fat Cat Burglar atop a hot air balloon surrounded by hyperactive Kung Fu mice minions. And they're really pushing the definition of hyperactive.
It is you, the great Dex Dog Detective, who's about to take a fall.
Oh no, they got Yao from Mulan into this. And you'll never guess how Dog Detective gets out of this scenario.
Hey, hairless hamsters. Want some of this?
Yeah, you should lower your expectations as we continue through this movie. Really lower your expectations. And after more kooky, cartoony hijinks that just do not fit in a format like this, Dog Detective nabs the basket of kittens, oh, that's what this was about, and lands for a journalist interview. Brother, he's not even animating on the swing.
This makes 500 consecutive cases you've solved. What's your secret, darling?
The secret's inside.
Ignoring how the mice only now somehow landed, I just realized behind that snout, it's Charlie Sheen. Yeesh, what is going on with this cast of VAs? Well, I say that. It's clear Sheen isn't really putting his all into the performance, though does he ever?
The real secret is I am scared out of my mind, Dan. Tonight's the night.
My name's actually Daz, not Dan. It's a common mistake. Oh, never mind. The bird journalist has just turned into this squirrel. This is gonna be a thing. This movie is 100% stitched together. It's not exactly finished, if that wasn't obvious already. We'll divulge the production details as we go, but for a starter, this movie was released in 2012, but was originally conceptualized back in 1997. 15 years in the making. Produced by Threshold Entertainment, which is essentially Lawrence Kasanoff's company, same guy who made the old Mortal Kombat movies. These guys also made Heroes Factory, Bionicles, Legend Reborn, Lego The Adventures of Clutch Powers, and Bobbleheads the movie. Yeah, we ain't exactly dealing with a Lord and Miller production here. Not to mention, Kasanoff really wanted to direct it, despite having no experience in the animation field whatsoever. Anyway, Dog-tective is nervous because he's prepping to propose.
What if she doesn't like it?
Relax, bro. We're talking about sunshine goodness.
This is Wayne Brady. Look at what they did to Wayne Brady. Oh my lord, it gets worse. Here's Hilary Duff. She looks 14 and is our love interest. Oof. Hilary Duff was 25 at this time, and Charlie Sheen was 47. Ugh. Not to mention, she comes flying in playing football with a bunch of deformed animated kids, playing with a watermelon PNG that's not even layered to be behind the kids in the foreground. This is the movie that just keeps on giving. And it's such a shame I'm gonna have to start skimming because this video is already longer than how long into the movie we are.
You want some?
Oh, yeah.
Never feed a dog raisins. They will die. It is literally poison to the... This movie's gonna be hard to skim. And so, the couple go on that date for the proposal before it's ruined by Daredevil Dan crashing his plane like he supposedly does every day. And then she goes off to help Dan. We teleport to Dan. Dog-tective is here, and he says...
That was hours ago.
Huh? The sky looks the exact same. 6 months later. Okay. What?
May I help you?
You must be Leonard.
What the fuck? What did I tell you? Lower your expectations. You've never seen Christopher Lloyd like this. Why does he move like that? Why is his head so ginormous?
Oh, I'll make space.
Why? Just why? Who said this was a good idea? Who wrote this dialogue? Who told Christopher Lloyd to gargle on a rock while speaking? I mean, he's putting in his all, but...
Wait until you get a whiff of our brand X elixir.
But anyway, cursed inspector aside, he adds brand X to the inventory and the bag of chips start talking.
Brand X will pay. Arr.
No, it's because it's a literal pirate character. Okay. Okay, Brandon, that was a nice draft. Now try saying the line for real this next time, okay? So back to Dog-tective, and he's now depressed, being unable to solve the one case that mattered the most. Daredevil Dan remains unfazed that their friend is gone.
Oh, mamacita! Oh, nice packaging!
Keeping it classy. Wait a minute, isn't this aimed to be a kids movie? I mean, I certainly hope so with some of the cartoony gags we've seen. This is incredibly full on, and it just keeps going.
How about some chocolate frosting? I like to butter your muffin.
This is not only terrible filmmaking, this is borderline offensive. Plus, the VA was Hilary Duff's little sister, who's barely 19 at this point. Just teaching kids how to cackle and care little about your missing friends. So then, I don't understand this movie, Daredevil Dan goes on to crash his plane again, going into a building that then opens up to an open field? And then after an elongated display of trying to fix his crash, come on, it's been 6 more months, dude, do you really need that book? He eventually gives up and crashes into the gnome tree.
I'm good. I'm cool. Nothing to see.
Hold on, was that intentional? That's the real cut of the movie. What was the point of the last camera motion? I feel like they had a leftover keyframe that just started before the cut. And I wouldn't be surprised, because the final result of this movie is the definition of rushed. See, Foodfight was originally intended to be a Christmas 2003 movie, so I guess I timed this upload well, just 19 years later. But it very much had a troubled and delayed production. Starting with, in December of 2002, the director Kasanoff reported that hard drives containing assets for the movie had been stolen in an act he described as industrial espionage and an incredibly complex crime. Whoa. Although phrasing it like some overcomplicated crime sure does make it sound suspicious. Real politicianisms in there. So there was an investigation done which included the United States Secret Service, and they could not find the thief. Fast forward to 10 years later, and a Reddit user comes out to claim that they weren't stolen, but intentionally deleted by the director. I don't really know if you can trust a random Reddit source, but they're consistent, and I think that just makes the backstory that much more funny. They say the hard drives were a server room behind a giant locked door that logs when it's opened and by whom, also making claims that the movie was never intended to be released and was just a scam to get money from investors, saying Kasanoff burned down his mansion for motion capture research and claiming insurance payouts. Woof.
You don't appear to have the correct coupons for such a pricey purchase.
Oh no, I didn't lower my expectations enough. This is abhorrent. Meet Cheezel T. Weasel. Fun fact, he's voiced by director Kasanoff.
Not so fast, Mr. Detective.
Oh, no, please stop. Just stop. Just when you think the animation style couldn't get any weirder, and I'm not entirely sure what Cheezel is going for. The dialogue in general is hard to parse sometimes, and he mentions giving Dogtective a companion, but does he mean him or the merchant? What is that? You don't think it is... Oh no. And why does Weasel look like that? What is this disgusting texture on him? And then the scene ends with him stepping on random tracks and getting hit by a train. Okay. So now Dogtective comes to some sort of gala event. Yeah, I feel about the same internally. I mean, look at the humor that surrounds us in this world.
Oh, I'm so excited. Look at the table. I'm stuck in the mud. It's so disgusting.
And I mean, Jesus, I've never seen a dance floor so intense. Everyone's got the same 2 jumping moves. What is that? Why is Mr. Cleanback?
Better go easy on the potato juice before you get chip-faced.
Kids movie, everyone. Just reminding you. Kids movie. And as Daredevil Dan also teleports into the room, he exposites about the new appearance of Lady X, presumably from the brand X from earlier. And though already the child seemed a little sexualized in design, Lady X takes it full on, with every boy in the house hounding towards her. Movie just going full crass at this point, if it wasn't already.
Of all the produce bars in all the supermarkets in all the world, she had to walk into mine.
What? Why are you speaking like that now, you weirdo? And so she knows about Dogtective already and seemingly trying to flirt.
That scent, something familiar.
My secret ingredient. You like it?
And then just like that, that's all the plot we're gonna get this scene, as Daredevil Dan and Captain Crispy go on to fight over Lady X, which then divulges into... Well, I mean, I was supposed to be expecting this kind of moment, though not necessarily 20 minutes into a 90-minute movie, but we'll take it. And it is just bonkers, whilst also kind of boring. It's just like 4 different fighting gags the writers could come up with alongside more cringy dialogue, like...
Stuck in the mud. Oh, shit, farted.
I'd almost want to say it seems like they were having fun making this moment, but after hearing all sorts of contexts, I'm not really sure if it's all that true. Until eventually, Dogtective is having none of it. He drop kicks Captain Krusty across the bar and shouts,
Party's over. Time to banana split out of my club.
and that's that then. Wait, so this is Dogtective's party? I thought Captain Krusty was hosting it because he's the one with the stamped on crisps. And so then why was Detective so surprised that Lady X showed up at his place if he has such a high value venue? What even is Dogtective's brand anyway?
What can I say? Chicks dig chocolate.
What are you doing, Kasanoff? What is this doing in a kids movie like this? Whose idea was it to put more sexual innuendos in this movie than plotline? And Dogtective drinks his sorrows away.
Crying over spilt milk.
Oh, she's back again. Was there meant to be a scene in the middle of all this, or...?
I'm looking for a guy. About your height. Same great build.
Okay, guys, this is going too far. Maybe this movie really wasn't intended to be seen by anyone. The whole shtick that got this movie started was $25 million from a joint investment put in by Threshold and Natural Image, a Korean investment company. They then expected more budget to come in from loans and foreign pre-sales, so when it was announced that the movie was to release in 2005 and was missed, it became a hurdle to keep investors on board. And even worse, when 2007 rolled around and another deadline was missed. Add on to that previous hard drive issues and things were seemingly going in circles. Apparently, the style of animation was originally intended to be all squash and stretch like Looney Tunes cartoons, but when production resumed in 2004 post that hard drives event, the style changed to motion capture, as apparently the director and animators were speaking in 2 different languages. The end result was this weird combination of styles we have, simultaneously a lot of work and also cutting many corners.
Maybe I can help you get a clean start on a new relationship.
What is this movie? Why are we here? So as this flirtatious dance continues, Dogtective keeps rejecting her advances until slowly he seems to get on board before...
Wait! I haven't shown you my secret ingredient.
The secret's inside.
Alright then, I guess we'll move on. So what was that yelp all about? This guy, head of defense after Dogtective, who's now found several dead bodies laid out in the street. It's a mystery. This took me a second watch to understand what was happening, not gonna lie. It's vague. The salts and sugars they all are, poised as if they were at war.
How many Ikes went down?
Everybody we threw out of the friggin' banana. Dan and Lady X is the only ones missing.
Did you get that? Everyone at the party is dead, except Lady X and Daredevil Dan. And Lady X has an alibi. Do they address why she's suddenly dressed as a schoolgirl? Anyway, exposition time.
We all knows when a product loses its icon, it spirals, it goes bad.
If you wash the box of the product, I guess they go bad, dead, or evil. Either way, considering Lady X here literally just said,
I can wash away your memories.
I wonder who the villain is. And Dogtective immediately gets it. It's a pre-planned ruse, as
rigor mortis has set in. Looks like all these poor Ikes were rubbed out.
Meanwhile, in the real world, here's how the shelves look. Splattered only with Product X. Surely there's a process when it comes to retail shelving, you know? You know, Petit Filou pays a lot of extra money to be on the end of the aisle where I'm never looking. It's not where I expect to find products I'm after. Anyway, surely with this much destruction, the whole town should be rubbed off and the buildings collapse. No? No. Welcome to halfway through this video. If you're liking it so far and want more terrible, subscribe. And so, Dogtective puts back on his detective gear to help save Daredevil Dan and clear his name. And at the same time, Product X is more prevalent now.
Not anymore.
Lady X is strolling into what I assume is like the town hall with her newfound generals. Jeez, I wonder if these are the bad guys or not. Where she now claims that
Brand X is 30 strong now.
and so they will maintain order in the aisles. As in government or crime protection? What am I to understand here? Everyone's in uproar, and as for Dogtective...
Oh, we'll take care of him too.
Right. And then in the very next scene, Lieutenant X here is pushing Cheezel T. Weasel off a rooftop. No context needed, demanding for details over Dogtective, which he gives, and is then killed for.
I fear this will not end happily for me.
You know, maybe I'm on the bad guy's side. This is the literal director speaking, and the delivery is so poorly directed. And thus, Cheezel T. Weasel is dead.
Everybody seems to be searching for the flying squirrel. Mayhaps a reward for the reckless rodent?
Oh, never mind. Is this seriously meant to be the same street? And also, Lieutenant X was just asking about Dogtective's whereabouts, not Daredevil Dan. Regardless, Dogtective chokes the information out of him about Dan leaving after the screams on the road. Dogtective disagrees, and we move on.
Note to self. Need no friend.
You know, I almost laughed at this joke. If only he never finished his sentence, just note to self. And then never speaks again. Anyway, Dogtective now goes to climb the Product X tower and is immediately there to be greeted by Lady X again. Boy, they really get to the point, eh? I feel like I keep seeing the same characters on loop. This is so fast.
Sorry I'm not dressed. I wasn't expecting company.
It's been 30 minutes and she already has 3 different skin type models. Also some pretty stark Nazi imagery going on with these X logos. Really pushing the boundaries for mature content in a kid's project. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a good debate behind highlighting Nazism for educational purposes so we never downplay or forget, but here, I don't know.
How about joining me in a warm rinse?
You know, I think I'm getting used to this bonkers style. Each leap is getting less and less surprising. And so they tango together between a collection of fooling weaponry. I can see her entire ass cheek animators.
Oh, but being filthy can be loads of fun. I want to scrub your bubbles, Dex.
That one fish isn't shook. What, have they already seen this arrangement? Well, they're all dead now. Until finally, after many kicks, we come to our peace.
Your crash dummy's fine. For now. But he won't be unless you back Brand X.
That's what it's all about, of course. Supporting them at the town hall. And as Dogtective continues to reject her and the idea of being lovers who will own this supermarket, she knocks him out, no issue.
We could have been like macaroni and cheese, scotch and tape.
Well, they certainly know what kind of character they've created. The step is entirely intentional. I was a kid in 2012. And even more so in 2003. Oh, it gives me the ick to think this would have been aimed at me at the time. And so, Dogtective ends up where Daredevil Dan is, in some sort of X-themed oven? Yikes. Oh, and look, she's got another skin-tight outfit. Is this where all the budget went? It certainly wasn't on those footballer kids.
Frame everybody, from calories to carbs. Then Brand X will step in and replace them all.
I still don't entirely understand how you can tell who's a sugar and who's a salt, who's a calorie and who's a carb, because I can't see where their products are. It's not established. But evildoers have their evil deeds in motion. And so that oven from before, it's a washing machine. And the fire is just a 2D texture. Only the best set pieces for Foodfight.
Socks always escape from the dryer. Follow that sock.
And that's all it took. Just running completely upside down. It's fine. They spot evil deeds through the window and now they're on the case.
They're building an entire army of robotic exobites.
What's an exobite? How do they know what that's called?
Oh, what in the... What is going on?
We need you to analyze this.
Bloody hell, what is going on now? Who is this unestablished character? And when did they grab Lady X's perfume? This is unfinished. Yeah, that's exactly it. Remember how I said they missed a deadline in 2007 as well as 2005? Well, by 2011, people had had enough, and the film's entire assets had been put up for auction in an attempt to make any money out of this project. So it sold for $2.5 million. See, investors who had pumped in tens of millions of dollars into this project invoked a legal clause from their contract that allows the Fireman's Fund Insurance Company to step in. Now, these guys insured Foodfight, and so they were brought in to complete and release the film as inexpensively and quickly as possible. Of course, the end result of that is scenes that don't match up 100%, but you can get the gist. As animator Ken Bailey put it, the film was already ruined, they were just trying to salvage what they could. I've also seen some people blame the poor texturing on that too, or the fact that everything was stolen. But remember, by now, that was 9 years ago, in 2002.
The only one with a nose for the job.
Maybe it was always doomed from the start. So they learned that Product X is addictive, and they need to tell the real-life store owner by email on the other side of the warehouse in the middle of the day. You know, I kind of see what they were going for, bit of a sausage party, Wreck-It Ralph thing, but I can't even pass what product placement each character is meant to represent, let alone understand how they interact with the real world.
We'll be killed! But not that I can't handle that, because I can, because I'm a natural ninja.
Plus, 80% of this movie is stupid fluff like this. It works as improv on Whose Line Is It Anyway. It doesn't work on film. Oh, right, so at daytime, everything literally vanishes off into boxes and products. I see, and you can just will yourself into existence?
Let's strawberry jam out of here.
Oh no. Oh no. The animation has actually gotten worse. I didn't think it was possible. Look at that baby. And I can't tell. I think this is supposed to be a chase sequence. Daredevil is flung around shopping trolleys. The Nazi lunch lady is there. Dogtective rides in on a Coke bottle and flies out of there. This has gone from a 0 out of 10 to a -1 out of 10. It is impressive.
Mayday! Mayday!
Oh, is that how it works now? And they brought a branded bottle with them into the fantasy world? This movie makes so little consistent sense. But it's an opportunity for Dogtective to tell Penguin Friend here all the exposition and to round everyone up to the banana gala as he flies overhead.
You need to warn the other Ikes. Brand X is behind the rub-outs.
What was that? Can you say all that again? I was distracted.
The store is now closed.
We're gonna make it.
Thanks, Joe Biden, for the supermarket announcement there. Didn't realize every landscape was a thin strip between each aisle you could just blast through. And soon enough, we end up in Head Guy's office, somehow unnoticed. And it's Fantasyland again, with this flying vampire Ike that survived the poisoning because he's undead. Alright.
How can I help? Upload? Download?
Every minute it feels like I'm bombarded with something new I just have to accept and roll with. The villains, meanwhile, glue them into the room, trapping them. And as Pilot and Bat whack into walls for a while, Detective learns that Sunshine Goodness Raisins were recalled through foul play, and sends for Brand X to be recalled.
Brand X must have killed the power.
But the email went through, right?
Maybe.
And so our 45-minute film now has to double in size. Also, they say they can't be saved by headquarters now and survive the night, but who is headquarters? The owner? He's gone for the night anyway. No one cares. Only me. I'll shut up now.
So what do we do now?
Fight.
And so, Lady X decrees that all undesirables be sent to the expiration station and randomly picks on some ites, as Penguin Friend brings in a collection to the Copa Banana as instructed.
Dex Dog Detective has been discontinued.
I shoot less at you, you big weenie-like loser.
Why does he sound like he's talking out of a radio box suddenly? Anyway, Dog Detective rocks up and has everyone dance the national theme of products. Alright.
We fight for freedom every day. Brand X, it's simple and plain.
I gotta hand it to them. This movie certainly isn't predictable.
We will return to pulverize you all. Pulverizing!
They were defeated by the power of song. And so a war is brewing. The Nazis have 3 groups of armies and Dog Detective is giving a pep talk to the resistance.
Remember our oath to protect and serve.
I thought I was a can of spaghetti, not a US police officer. And so our war begins, with the armies animated like that, because of course they are. As Dog Detective whips out a box of recalled sunshine goodness, and...
Food! Fight!
Oh, okay. So they basically do a worse version of Shrek 2, bombarding the villains with doofy liquid simulators. Again, and again, and again. Every character throws, every explosion shown, just an ungodly amount of gluey goo. And they retreat. And then they do it some more. Explosions, pies, rain, goo. And that's how that goes. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, but I see I've forgotten our one rule. Lower your expectations. But it's not over yet, as Brand X has a second wave. And now it's the resistance being bombarded. The guys are bombarded and these guys are bombarded. The ketchup machine readies themselves like artillery. What is that ketchup made of? Because it causes actual fiery explosions on the crew. They've got rockets that only cause plumes of smoke. The whipped cream is weaker than ketchup.
Exobites fly!
Okay, this is just inappropriate. I can almost give 1 point for the small creativity of some of these weapons, but this shot is taking it too far. What kind of parent would expose their kid to this? By the way, guess how much this movie made off of its $45 to $64 million budget? Well, in the first week from its limited release in the UK, 15,000. Oof. So for those of you who couldn't visually read that, Daredevil Dan got into a plane, started blowing a bubblegum bubble, then did an aileron roll through the Hornets to explode most of them into sticky gum. Just like that. Yeah, I'll have whatever the hell he was chewing, please, thanks. So then Brand X start just outright bombing the streets with people on them. Is that a product? I can't see it.
Food goes right to my butt.
Ah, thanks, movie. Always sneaking in a bit of time to confirm how in the dirt the writing is.
It would appear you are in need of a professional.
Oh no, not this guy again. I thought he died. Why are you back, Casanov?
Note to self, new friends not working out.
And so our Breath of the Wild champions stand atop rooftops, formulating tinfoil items everywhere. Then the frog gets captured off screen and they go to slice off his tongue. Okay, this would legit terrify me as a kid. Who is this for?
Knife coming! Enough! I don't like her. She's very mean.
You know, Sonic Adventure 1 came out in 1998. Haven't we learned enough from Big the Cat's voice? Even in a torture scene, this character has no emotional depth or ability to not massively ruin the intensity of the scene. I don't like her, she's very mean. Ugh. And so the town continues to be bombed. Not even sure what by at this point, as Penguin Friend is killed, I think.
No!
Point of contact there. And then the Nazi is immediately remorseful.
Wait! It wasn't my fault. I was just following orders. I don't even like her.
Yikes. That is literally the defense Holocaust guardsmaid. Is that the reference? I hope it's just a coincidence because the alternative is... And so we pause at the Copa Banana.
Long live la résistance.
Come on. As Penguin Friend 2 is put to rest, Nose Guy shouts and backflips over the place saying the poison is bad, and then Vampire Bat Guy
I'm fine, nobody saw that.
All the lightning rods are in place, I guarantee it.
Well, he just suddenly had an accident at the studio. His voice quality drops from normal mic to webcam mic. And so, Dog Detective discovers the exobites are refueling their poison at the Brand X Tower. And though Daredevil Dan doesn't want to fly because it's a suicide mission, Dog Detective then goes on to awkwardly hallucinate a feathered oval to the scene from before of sunshine goodness to inspire him to tread forwards. I can see the plot point, but the execution is just laughable. Ironically, unlike anything else in this movie.
I just gave up. I let you all down.
I mean, really, they're literally in the middle of nowhere during a bomb raid and they're just monologuing. Come on. Never mind, can we go back to the monologuing, please? Cheezel T. Weasel chainsaws down a power line and kills Lunch Lady X. Okay.
Cheezel T. Weasel rocks.
Is it bad I kinda enjoy the weird bassy soundtrack under his scenes? What is wrong with me? So what's the plan with the tinfoil before?
We pull lightning rods on all our buildings to keep them safe. Brand X don't have lightning rods, so they gets destroyed.
So then why are we witnessing every other building getting destroyed as well? How does a single power line cause an electrical storm? Should you really be parachuting in the sky when you've orchestrated nature to zap everywhere?
The regular Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah, who's Benjamin Franklin?
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, skip. Why are you gonna constantly pepper your movie with crap like this? So, Dog Detective lands at the lair, immediately exploding several exobites that for some reason weren't already in the sky, as we next see him immediately finding Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Dex!
At this point, characters are just teleporting onto the scene. Who cares where they were before?
You cold-farted itch.
Really? I mean, I guess it's established they're not above this, but it still surprises me every time. And so, Sunshine is about to be poisoned directly and mutilated to be something bad, but they stop, because a random bolt of lightning completely identical to all the past ones now makes everyone rock around like it's a Star Trek episode. And Lady X gets out of there for no real reason.
Okay then. I'll just leave you to it.
And what's that saving grace move Dog Detective has up his sleeve to beat this suddenly equal circumstance, do you think? Oh, of course. And just like that, Dog Detective dives out for a raisin Sunshine, spits it at the injection gun, and hits Lieutenant X.
I think I just wet myself. It feels rather nice. Oh.
Sunshine goodness is saved, we don't address where she was hidden for 6 months, and they say all sorts of lines that just gotta make you cringe with their dynamic.
My world is whole again, kitten.
My big tough guy.
And we exposite some more about how Brand X took her goodness and sweetness as the special ingredient, taking away her essence even though she's exactly the same, just occasionally weak at the knees, or something, and they're shaken out of the room. When did that happen? Gee, this is extreme!
As long as I'm with you, nothing else matters.
Well, thank you for that progressive lesson, Lizzie McGuire. And to finish our beats, Daredevil Dan has to do one final loop-de-loop that always caused a crash in the past, even though he didn't really need to do that. Everything explodes, and it's over.
Woo! Damn the day and fly away!
But our film isn't quite over yet. There's still 7 more minutes, because cursed Christopher Lloyd is somehow in the fantasy products land.
I understand. Somebody ordered a recall.
How does this work? How does Dog Detective expect to not get crushed by the human?
I'll be fine. Have to be to make sure nothing bad ever happens to you.
Why does this guy always have to be so creepy?
I'll stomp you into oblivion.
You know, I think the biggest tragedy is the fact that Christopher Lloyd was all roped into this. I mean, this guy's a treasure, and he is really getting into it as a voice actor. Like, he is good.
Wait until you get a whiff of our Brand X elixir.
It's just such a shame he's been scrambled into this cursed version of a character. He's killing it, though. And just like that, they trip him over and... oh my god! What a twist! Christopher Lloyd was a sexy lady all along.
So you built yourself a human robot and recalled Sunshine, then you stole her essence to make your elixir for Brand X.
Thanks, Charlie Sheen, for the full summary there. To be fair, most dialogue is hard to understand, so it's genuinely kind of helpful.
How did you get in and out of the store?
Okay, hold on. What's going on at this point? What, you still had some animation left over from the motion capture and felt you just had to jam it in somewhere? What is with these random twirls mid-sentence?
But enough about me. Let's kill you!
What a line. And so it's hand-to-hand combat. No one else intervenes and only watches as... Whoa, who's that Ike? Have we seen this super mutant muscle man before? I thought I was done with cursed models. Anyway, the bashing continues.
Tell me something. Are those melons real?
They throw out all the inappropriate jokes they can at the poor kids still locked down watching this movie.
He won't hit her. Not now, not never.
But I will.
And for plot reasons, she just absolutely destroys Lady X. Power for no reason. She's barely putting up a fight. And then...
Sunshine Chip slapped her back to ugly.
Gross.
And so the lesson is... Don't be ugly, kids. Look up to older creepy men as your only goal. Catcalling is A-okay. And fart jokes are always funny. She's put to the expiration station. None of the other Ikes are saved from said station. But a simple antidote spray brings everyone back from death.
The secret is inside. Inside all of us.
And Dog Detective finally proposes to Sunshine Goodness.
Will you marry me?
Are you kidding me? No! Get me off of these cursed lands. Have you seen what's on the other frame? And that was the terrible Foodfight. Understandably titled the worst animated movie of all time. Apparently, the US distributors Viva Pictures managed to turn around a profit for this movie by delaying the release for a better window at Walmart. Only the classiest delivery for a film such as this. There was a bit of extra controversy over aiming product placement at children, but I still could barely tell who was what. Director Kasanoff said it wasn't immoral because they weren't paid for the placements, but then went on to expect cross-promotion from all of the brands anyway. Nice one, Chief. This movie is an absolute treasure trove of trash, and at its core, it feels even a little black-hearted, so I'm glad it's finally behind me. That was the longest 81 minutes of my life. Thanks, Starmies, and whoever you were for suggesting this abomination. You thought Slender Man was our Halloween special? You fool! This is the real Nightmare Fuel. I mean, just look at it! How did we end up here? What even is the Amazing Bulk? Why is this a thing? And how have I never heard of this before? Oh my god! If you've never heard of the Amazing Bulk, then you're in for a treat, as it's quite a little rabbit hole. I hadn't heard about this film, but you guys actually managed to bring it to my attention. I was just sending out a tweet hinting about our next video that I like to do every Sunday, but while I was insinuating Spy Kids 3D back in the day, because, you know, it's all green screen and pretty outdated in most places, you lot all settled on this Amazing Bulk film instead, and boy was that a shocker to look up on Google Images. Yeah, you can just tell that this is just beyond the most terrible thing we've ever covered on the channel. I mean, it's so bad, it practically doesn't have official reviews. No wonder it went under my radar. It's either getting a 1 star or 5. Yeah, that sounds about right. But opening up on a film like this, there is clearly a whole bunch more to take note of with the context of this film. Namely, the most obvious thing is looking at the budget. Clearly, this isn't an official film made by a fully decked out production team. This is an independent film. So in a sense, it feels a little meaner to be laughing and shooting down something that is legit someone's passion project as opposed to the hollow, money-chasing antics of robotic executives at a company, you know? But at the same time, The Amazing Bulk actually has a bit of history on YouTube, with the director being known for taking a really good approach to criticism with his response to YouTuber I Hate Everything's video on it. That being said, I don't hate this film. In all honesty, I found this film to be very entertaining. Sure, it's completely for all the wrong reasons, but I did vocally laugh out loud at some points. Would I spend actual money on it? Yes, and I did. It's rentable on YouTube Movies. Gotta spend that spare Mulan money from boycotting it, I guess. Plus, I tried making a film once entirely on green screen, and I can totally understand the trials of trying to make all that work. So let's finally get into things, shall we? So the film starts off with the Universal logo. Oh, okay, never mind. It's a template. So the film starts off with the Fox... Am I in a comedy? Yes. Yes, I am. Oh my god, it's in Comic Sans. Louis Schoenbrunn, you are a comedic genius. So we're taken to this cityscape at night. Is that the set of The Room? I mean, it lines up with the marketing. Jeez. And yeah, every single background asset in this entire film is produced entirely through stock images found online. And with the way this lady is walking in this composition, it feels like I'm watching some adaptation with Mortal Kombat 1 graphics. She walks this way and that way, barely connected in logic through 12 different compositions before stopping in an alleyway and getting assaulted.
Suck on this instead.
Oh, this was not the first line I was expecting. Ah! He's just there. That wasn't even... That doesn't... Then the girl dies, while screaming, by the way. The mugger shoots Bulk in the most convincing manner possible, screams, and then I guess is dead? And Booty Thanos just flees the crime. Why is he running like that, though? This way and that way, away from the crime scene, and that's the opening of The Amazing Bulk. Well, I have no legs, but I can still tell you that we're in for a wild ride. I might have shot this after I realized I haven't got my legs in this shot and I can't fit them in. My room's not as long as an actual Alright, back to the video. He didn't even save the day! So as you'd expect, our title card is just a bunch of stock images and purple Comic Sans, only the best for the Bulk. So now our detectives are on the scene, and if you thought the graphics were bad, now there's the acting, cause boy, these guys are wooden. And I love that these green screen angles are all wrong. It's understandable to get the lighting wrong, I mean that's hard to manage, but how do you skip out on the storyboarding as well? I never had a problem with that. Well, I guess we're off, what a transition. Yes, we need to know what just happened one day earlier. I am very lost. Oh my god, look at the table, look at it! It's the wrong color, it's the wrong angle. Oh, I love everything about it. So our protagonist and his science friend are doing the science. The dialogue is choppy and amateur, all exposition and very poorly recorded too. But on the topic of Hannah, the protagonist's girlfriend, it soon turns to...
the girl with the great personality and the great assets to match?
Sexualizing 2 out of 3 female characters so far. Classy. So our guy says he plans to propose to Hannah and get permission from her dad, General Darwin. Darwin. And as the scene continues, the rat test vanishes through a failed serum. Then Hannah appears and takes him away. Why is it made in paint? Aisles and aisles of toy shop? What even is the color palette of this world? Is it a cool neon vibe like we saw earlier, or am I in Kittyland? Where's my saturation supposed to be here? So this car scene, it doesn't even really have dialogue.
No shop talk. This is our time.
Like, why is it even here? Oh, I love jogging. This is so much fun. Am I on drugs? So they have an emotional moment with Henry chewing gum the whole time, because he's cool like that, and she wants kids, and is worried he's prioritizing his experiment too much. And then they move on. Oh god, look at the table layering again. Look at it, the table! And the rat! Oh, this just gives too much. So the scientists talk about that conversation that just happened and try more science, shown off with this fancy pants totally real montage. And honestly, if I was able to put all of this together to effectively show a montage, I'd probably be pretty pleased with it, even though it's just like the same 2 science clip art clips put together. But anyway, they inject red into this rat this time and the same thing happens. Sure this isn't because you're putting in like a quarter of their total body weight into their system? And the scene ends with, I kid you not, a freeze frame that fades away. Oh god, I love how corny this film is.
Maybe Billy 238 will be the lucky one.
So Henry visits the girlfriend's mansion to seek the dad's approval. You know, you kind of get used to the CGI after a while. Takes us back to those old school PC games, I guess.
I hate dust.
Thanks, ADR Dad. What kind of robotic NPC are you? All of his audio is just terrible.
Wait, don't speak. There could be spies listening.
What? Then they try to sell a real referencing Star Trek joke, but it isn't funny. That's tragic. But you know what is funny? The way these guys are just slipping on the floor in the basement. Fantastic! This film I don't think it realizes where its funny beats are. So Henry says his thing, the dad rejects in his terrible audio ways, and Henry leaves in a strop. Well, you've made it this far into the video, so congrats to you, and since you're enjoying it so far, do consider subscribing. Meanwhile, in some vampire castle, oh my god, look at the dog! Look at the dog! This interior is nothing like I expected for the outside thing, and also, am I in a porn parody? Why the wig and everything else? How are the guards connected to this? Okay. So this ugly mob boss looking guy comes in, the boyf of this lady here, our 3rd out of 4 sexualized female characters. And the topic of this conversation goes to...
Oh, that's right. I forgot. There's nothing going on downstairs.
But why the close-up on the dog? Anyway, she's told not to gyrate in front of the guards, and our, I guess, villain decides to electrocute one of them for making a gesture at him when he's not looking, but he does it right in front of him, and they move on.
Would you like something, hard?
Yes, yes!
Alright, this suddenly stopped being fun. Monkey. I don't know why he's here either. They were actually talking about explosive rockets, pressing buttons to send them off with Mozart playing in the background, and after so many real-life rocket shots, for like 3 minutes, they choose to blow up this institute of German scientists. Convincing.
Make love to me like you used to.
Oh no, you silly woman, you know I can't do that anymore.
I don't even have a comment on this. So they blow up several more landmarks instead. This is the gentlest terrorism I think I've ever seen. Moving on, we're at a carnival from the 90s now, apparently, according to this old footage, and as Harry is about to pop the question, she legit interrupts him because of...
Oh my god. Hank, a roller coaster.
Where do you think you are? So they get on one, and you can really feel the heat of the moment on that roller coaster. The wind, the momentum, the immersion. Though then it transitions to a train line, which I guess isn't terrible. Anyway, here Henry tries again to pop the question and is mugged instead, losing the ring he was going to propose with, and putting up a fight for it. Oof. Anyway, next they're in a sports car? How? What? What? And they put wheels over the clip-art wheel. Oh my god. So Hannah is dropped off and Henry continues at the lab even more, getting real desperate at this point, discovering purple and having it work on a plant. Very consistent science here. Upset that it's still not enough, Henry then tests more on himself now. You'll never guess where this goes. Oh no, the table! Not the table! Oh, Henry's normal. Walking this way and that way. Okay. So he sees the opening sequence, gets really mad, and turns into whatever this is. Unpolished facial animations and all. He hunts for the ring and turns back into the bulk to run away. Actually, I don't think he's ever going to actually be referred to as the bulk in this entire film. Anyway, somehow the villain Can't Love ended up with it. Okay. Henry is approached by those detectives, learns a little of what happened last night, and the bold one figures that he's the murderer because he knew the mugger killed the prostitute, not the other way around. Also, somehow he spread some purple or something. Alright. So Henry revisits the crime scene and the detectives confront him, only for him to, surprise, surprise, turn into the bulk. What follows next is probably the most ridiculous sequence of events I think I have ever seen.
Well, it ain't Barney the purple dinosaur!
They shoot him in the giganticized gut, and he runs, and the detectives follow through all sorts of assets in this really unconvincing side shot. Through an airport, some docking containers, sliding onto the street, sometimes it's both of them, sometimes it's just the bald guy or the girl on her own, and you'd think after a while they'd clue on to the fact that the bullets aren't doing anything and they should try something else. Meanwhile, Bulky Boy here is just consistently running to and fro, bumming into any asset conveniently in the shot, and everything he touches literally explodes. Sometimes the cars even flip through him as he runs. And it's clear Lewis ran out of background assets here, as I'm pretty sure that's the same alleyway they just started in. And here's the same street running back and forth through it multiple times. Adding further to that, there's this CGI helicopter that comes in with it 12 polygons or something to try and report on the events, and their audio just gets worse and worse over time. The chase scene is still going on, again another like 3 minutes later, hitting low resolution cars and even Bulk being low resolution sometimes, until eventually... The timing of this just tickles me. Literally like some YouTube cartoon. It's so comedically on beat. Anyway, what I actually mean is eventually one car flips onto the female detective. Lisa was apparently her name. Also, hey, that's the one non-sexualized female character. Now she's dead. Nice. And as the helicopter apparently is still coming closer for that good shot... Ugh, that's the realest jump scare I think I've gotten all month. I feel like I could slap the Valve logo onto the back of that head. And it's the only shot of its kind. Everything else is just reused animations that you've pretty much already witnessed up to this point. And that's the end of that. Bulk walks somberly to a standstill, returns into Henry, and the bold detective tries to kill him right there.
Oh. Now for plan B.
Oh boy, so Henry's in jail, unsure if it's been 10 days or 10 years. It's been 10 seconds. And our bold detective returns again to pull a gun on him in prison. Is that legal? Anyway, General Darwin comes in to save him.
What's up, Doc?
What? That literally makes no sense. So apparently this was exactly the results that they were hoping for. Darwin is the real villain in the end. Meanwhile, our weird rocket lover villains are dancing and now planning to upgrade and blow up the moon. Cue even more classical music underlying some rocket footage, though this time it's so dramatic that the art of piecing together their ultimate weapon even causes the reverse rotation of the Earth. Well, isn't that something? Totally not poor repetitive editing at all. So after all of that has passed for another 3 minutes, Henry is in some kind of electro cage. I legitimately can't tell if it's a window or a TV screen. Still, he's now being hired as the hero who can stop the rocket villains, and in return he'll get an antidote, and his experiment will create super soldiers of the future, as Darwin wants. And Henry reluctantly accepts for the sake of marrying his daughter, which he now has approval for, apparently. Also, Darwin's ADR changes like halfway through the scene.
You're the only hope mankind has of surviving. So would it be wise to get serious?
Lovely. Alright, finale time. Henry is flown in through the least convincing helicopter interior we've seen so far. I guess all the budget went to the reporter's one, who never really came to do anything mentionable in the actual story. Because, I mean, this helicopter has like literally no shape on the inside. It's just like shaking 2D rectangles. So Henry lands in Vampire Town and goes for a jolly jog. Meanwhile, the super rocket is now bright yellow and heading to the moon with the most realistic animations and timings for landing I think I've ever seen. And with the villain's detonation, it turns out to be foiled by Monkey. I still don't really know why he's here. Now it's sunset. Daytime. Yay! He got a hole-in-one. It's Ireland. Wind turbines? Fantasyland? And destination. Yikes. I guess they really just wanted to use the last of their assets. Henry gets angry with the help of a picture of Darwin in his pocket that I guess he's just always had, and he just wrecks the place. There's an Indiana Jones ball that quickly changes quality depending on what graphic they're using. The guards are constantly running away, and when one is cornered, he screams for a millennium. Bulk gets deformed in his animation for some reason, and the guard gets the Bigfoot. Here's some alien with the villain as he tells a brief story of a worse time, I guess. And Lolita, as her name apparently has been this whole time, is walking down the halls with the blindfold on, where Bulk is running through, only to discover...
My, oh my.
It's not fun anymore. Apparently, after actually seeing him, she loves his new unanimated face, and he promptly knocks her in the side of the head. Is that literally a spray-painted Hulk hand propped? Nice. Here's the dog with a goblin. No, it doesn't come back. And Can't Love, that's his name by the way, is running through the storage unit somewhere. He keeps talking to himself, the animation never gets any better, he's confronted by the Bulk, he pleads for his life, and he gets the Bigfoot. Henry calls for a mission success, and he's bombed. Turns out Darwin is even more of a villain than before. There is no antidote and Henry's next to be killed. He turns into the Bulk, there's a CG archer now, as well as every asset known to exist, all being showcased under all that more classical music. And eventually, after running across the entire landscape of the Earth several times, passing the Gecko, writing in a laptop saying he is Gecko, and a random man in an unrelated plane, and everything else under the possible sun, I could literally keep talking in this line, adding no more to the actual video, and you will still have more assets that he just plonks in consistently underneath as footage, spontaneously exploding on a couple of occasions. eventually he is nuked. That's literally where the plot goes next. He's nuked. and the reaction when the daughter sees this is,
what's wrong?
Gee, boss, I have no idea what could possibly be wrong. So Hannah's upset after learning that Henry is dead, though she didn't put 2 and 2 together with the actual nuke part of the equation. And after the only non-screen shot in the whole film, Henry appears. Hank. His name's Hank? I could have sworn his name was Henry in the first half of the movie. Anyway, Hank proposes, tells her not to tell her dad that he's about, and Darwin appears anyway. They fight and both fall off the balcony, both are dead. I'm being serious here. I guess they really wanted to use those grave assets, because that's practically the ending.
Hey, Hank. It's me.
Oh, that makes sense now. So Hannah mourns at his gravestone, and then the bold detective appears too, now drunk and even worse at acting than before, and as he begins to pee on his grave, we get one final moment of a jump scare with 2 bulk hands punching both sides of Baldy. And that's the end. After that, it's all just Comic Sans credits. Mwah, truly a masterpiece. And that's the story of the amazing Bulk. Guy has a science breakthrough, doesn't save anyone, runs away, kills people, gets captured, and then does a mission by stepping on people, getting nuked, returning home, dying by a balcony after all of that, and then coming back to life. As far as stories go, this is about as basic and unheroic it could possibly get. In a sense, I guess it's quite a dark parody of The Incredible Hulk, though apparently this film wasn't always intended to actually be a parody, it just turned out that way. Iconic. There's no way to save a film like this. Creating an entire production through just a green screen is impossible enough, but doing so without any serious assets is just a recipe for disaster no matter how great you may be. I tried it at university because my locations weren't working out. At least there I had screenshots of my IRL location to use as backgrounds. The film still didn't turn out good for a multitude of reasons, but hey, there was never going to be much hope for a film that presents itself like those GameCube Pokemon games. Regardless, this film is one of those ironically fantastic disaster pieces. Kinda. I'm a big fan of watching terrible movies because for the right reasons or not, they're entertaining. And I sure as hell couldn't pass up green screening myself into this green screen film. But legit, this green screen formatting is so bad in this film that I actually struggled to green screen myself into it, you know? That's impressively bad. Furthermore, this film did get genuinely boring, even with all of this spectacle. It's slow, not too much happens, and when it does, it overstays its welcome for minutes after minutes after minutes. Everyone and their mother knows this film is bad. The director has certainly been told about it several times, but man, this is easily the worst film I have ever witnessed. Student experiments included. There are no characters, there's no themes, there's no anything. And I would say it's a tad impressive to have made all of this on such a minimal budget, but look how many crew members were included in this production. That's a crazy amount of help for how poor it all was. Look, there's even an on-line editor. I made all of this by myself. I'm not crazy proud of it as a legit short film, but this is just unfathomable. And the constant sexual tones make me feel like a teenager made this. It's slimy and gross, more so than Big Boy over here. So thank you for exposing me to the wondrous delights that are this film, those of you who respond to my tweets. Independent films are a bit of a tricky business to find and feel okay shooting down, but if there's more of these kind of things you'd be interested in me covering, you're more than welcome to send me some suggestions. I don't exactly know where to start searching for them, so I'll leave it to you. Do it on our Discord and I'm guaranteed to see it, and a lot of these are some pretty good calls. I may be making some of these right now, who knows, but otherwise I really need to just sit down and not think about any of this again. The comedy just writes itself, however unintentionally. But yeah, I'm getting out of here. Well, here we are. I completely forgot about this movie, and to be honest, I'm surprised anyone ever remembered I said this. The Terrible Silver Circle. This movie first appeared on my radar as I was looking for some of the worst animation designs I could find, beyond the cliche at this point that is Foodfight. And here, I'd certainly found it. But it was inaccessible, lost to time, and archived nowhere. Until November 29th, 2021, when username Flashfire42 whipped it back onto the web, and messengers Transform987 and Big Lad James H2002 brought it up right to me. So thanks for the suggestion, guys. But boy do I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. since this is a full-on political manifesto, and don't know if you noticed, but I ain't American. But sure, let's process through this as best we can. Alright, yeah, you got my attention. So we start off immediately with some armed guys arresting some people. I mean, I assume these are humans. They look like if solidified vomit learned how to walk, but what is this clunky walk cycle? Apparently it's some sort of mocap, but not really. It's cheap is what it is. And I assume they're getting arrested, but the action is more like... The reasoning for these guys' arrest? They're tenants of a house that they refuse to sell. So the government are intervening to take it by force. See, the world of Silver Circle is a hyperbolic dystopia. The government are interfering with everything, including now claiming houses in order to artificially bump up house prices beyond their true value. And more so than that, after a financial crash in 2014, the government now have access to something or other, but it means they're out to get you too. All of these characters we'll never see again. You just gotta feel empathy for them, because that elbow really looks like it hurt. Also, an innocent guy is shot, but the audio really doesn't do it any favors. Cut to a mysterious scene of a house in the dark, and a cloaked figure setting up a bomb. Ooh, whoa! Is that meant to be a dog? Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, and they blow up a whole neighborhood, but that's whatever. Awful match cut. And now we're at the actual start of our story with this guy here, logical straight man Jay Nelson. And he's an investigator to be put on the case of this arson attack. So here he rocks up in his clunky car with his clunky animation through a clunky gate where nobody else exists. Honestly, I'm actually getting kind of worried at how quickly I'm getting used to this aesthetic, because this is awful. Why is the dad in this video essentially T-posing? This Sims movie is already falling apart. But as Jay meanders around in his car and we have to watch, it's time for some news exposition of the world. You heard it from me already, and each shot is the perfect love letter to this dump. Armed men on the streets, long queues of people, the price of bread apparently displayed like petrol, $47 a loaf, protesters, an actual gas station, queuing at a bank, a Ron Paul shirt wearing busker. I mean, good lord. Is this not all just incredibly on the nose? Who even is Ron Paul? I'm too British for this. Okay, so he's super conservative, hates paper money, but also pro-guns, anti-separation of church, anti-abortion, thinks global warming is a hoax, anti-immigrant but not pro-wall, opposed the Civil Rights Act, wrote racist material, thinks Fauci is lying about COVID, and his successor's son was one of Trump's top supporters. So really, if this is the ideal, this really is a dystopia. Apparently it's political week on DazzReviews. This is like a dystopian wet dream for scaring your audience of a worst case scenario. I mean, could this really be any less subtle? Plus, this film's set in 2019. This is meant to be a prediction from 2013. So Jay finally makes it to the burned down neighborhood. He's stunned. Well, I assume he's stunned. He's got about as much facial expression as that one kid with a creepy mask on. And talks to some officers. Nelson immediately knows what's going on. It was an explosion, and not a gas one. Though it comes off less like deductions and more like some kind of omnipotence.
I told you before, I didn't know she was your ex. She was my wife. Get over it.
Oh, now we know this guy is cool. What follows next is a 2-minute ramble about how great a guy Jay is for sticking it to the man in his last gerb. It's not subtle. So following up on his lead, he goes to the Cornwall real estate offices.
Hi, I'm Ginny Amato. I'm in charge while Mr. Jensen's away. Are you looking to buy or sell?
This is the closest thing to a comic relief we really get. And it's gonna be this one joke the entire time. And they only tell it twice. Anyway, after introductions are made, this lady here decides to just stand up on a stepladder. What? Why? Anyway, she now turns around to say she has some information, but can't say now.
I can't now?
I could ask you later. Say over dinner?
You're not as dumb as most guys.
Am I a dumb guy? I am not following. Why can't you say in this clearly empty room? And now we have these two guys investigating evilly and licking Mary? Whatever. One is dragged away and sexually assaulted, the other tails by car, I guess. We don't see much, and then they're back together again. Apparently the office guy has a clue, so he just goes ahead and calls Elon Musk? You cannot tell me that doesn't look exactly like the Elon Musk. I mean, look at it! So the lady's name is Zoe Taylor, and you know what that means?
She was the kid's sister.
I'm sorry, who's the kid? The kid who fought back against police? The guy who was shot dead? Neither of them really match this picture, so I don't know where they're going with this, but alright. And now they gotta find out what Jay Nelson knows. Plot. As for the investigative side of things, Jay's boss is relaying to the Federal Reserve Chairman. They know it's arson and not much else. And boss man Brandt here wants all to stay hush-hush, and Elon Musk is there! Now apparently, the chairman here has already somehow clicked that Jay Nelson hasn't actually said all he knows to his boss, and wants to know what he knows. We already know that these people want to know what Nelson knows, because Elon Musk was asking about it earlier. And you know what you need to know? You need to know that we are streaming every day in January after a certain point, so come subscribe. Come subscribe to this channel as well. So here is Jay Nelson, coming to meet with Zoe at a bookshop meeting? Well, there's a political speech going on here anyway.
In the same year pot became legal, 2016, what did the feds outlaw? Money.
Wow, considering this is a 2013 movie, they accurately predicted the marijuana legalization date. But yeah, Nelson's not paying attention to this as much as the audience has literally nothing else to listen to with this audio, and heads straight for Zoe. To which she just says,
give it a listen.
Boy, they're really laying it on thick here. So what does he have to say?
The dollar is dead. We have to win back the right to trade in whatever currency we want. We are on the edge of tyranny, people! But real, honest money, silver and gold. What's so dangerous about this?
This is the underground illegal currency of the world of Silver Surfer. Something the big bad government cannot control. And you should trust that over those liars. Ironically enough, I wasn't sure if this author was a real thing, so I googled them. Oh boy! John Schaefer is a heavy metal guitarist. He's real. In fact, this character model is him. He's got a whole music video in universe to this film, and he was at the Capitol riots and coiled up in all sorts of sentences right now. Whoops.
Where are you going to put your trust?
Well, probably not in the guy with convictions and a Confederacy flag on his belt. Yikes. Anyway, Nelson's noticed he's being followed and swiftly gets cornered by them, leading to... Oh my god, what a gripping action scene. And the music is just so good. Stop, I can't handle this quality. And soon enough, Zoe now careens in, crushing one guy's legs and tasing the other. And then she boosts away like she's a drag racer.
Custom engine and tranny. Did it myself.
Ah, because of course she has all the skills to be the perfect hero. And one rock song later, they disguise themselves in the stupidest way possible with yet another perfect piece of political imagery. Subtle. And for the next 5 minutes, they just regurgitate what just happened. But hey, there's that dog again, named Jefferson. Of course it's named Jefferson, and the goons somehow predict that Jay Nelson has no chance of going back to his place. So now, after the perfect straight man who can now fight and the perfect lady with the driving skills are together for the night, naturally, they get together, cause that's how the power fantasy goes. Only to be interrupted by the goons again. Oh, actually no. The director tried to do something here, match cutting between the two's tense scenes to mislead them. They actually ended up at the wrong address. So our heroes get noodles and talk about politics again. For God's sake.
They take our money, our homes, our freedom. We have to do something.
Man, you could really feel the conviction in her voice there. What a delivery. As for how they dodged the guys, Zoe here just sort of knew the goons knew where she lived and redirected to her group's hideout. There's a lot of knowing other people's thoughts in this movie, and it just keeps going. The goons said in the fight they work for a construction company, and now Nelson just knows that's not true.
No. That's what they wanted me to think.
Sounds to me more like the plot demands you to be smart, so you just became omnipotent in the process. And then of course, they have a one-night stand, because of course they do. Meanwhile, the goons are at a park and Elon Musk is there!
Failure is unacceptable.
Oh my fucking god. You know, this would really be a chance for anything remotely, I don't know, emotive in the voice performance. But no, this guy just kind of dies quietly too. It's not surprising, but this audio is terrible. And I know it looks like an early Telltale game, but no, he's not going to become the Walking Dead after. And then they immediately cremate the body.
He sat up and waved goodbye. Oh, I love when they do that.
Yeah, I think I can imagine Elon Musk saying that in real life. Also, apparently this process leaves no smell or smoke or gases. I don't think that really applies when you keep the damn door open on the body. So Nelson is back at the arson scene, spotting a phone trigger, and then we're at the report of it. Okay, with Chairman Brandt now suggesting Nelson is taken off the case because of all the threats he's getting. And of course, Elon Musk is there too. Where's Nelson entering now? It's the Perennial Gale. What is that? It's a pub. Or a bar? Guess he's taking this firing thing well. Time to talk to dear old Dad. What? They talk about girls, Dad's hurt his arm but won't take Nelson's money, inflation, that's natural to talk about.
Inflation these past few years.
Worth less every day.
And he pays with silver circles. Dad doesn't trust paper money either. How did we loop round to this again?
What should be illegal is that worthless paper money the government keeps printing.
And that's the scene done. Okay. Oh, now Nelson's getting fired. That's a weird order of scenes. And this scene's about as generic as you can imagine. You can't take me off the case, you're off the case. But that's final. But
I just got taken off the case.
Why?
What? Who are you? No, but seriously, we haven't established Nelson's office at all, and now there's this guy getting all buddy-buddy?
I found something that might be of interest to you.
Oh, that's why he exists. He found the shot list for the movie. This is actually going to become some surreal break in the fourth wall plotline. Next, you're going to tell me that these characters exist in the real world. Oh my god! But really, it's a video from the arsonist, right next to screenshots of the rest of the movie, showing their perspective of the attack on the empty houses being taken by the Department of Housing Stability and claiming it's just a power grab.
Do your own research.
Ooh, because that always turns out well. And then it's a call to action to join them. Nelson, of course, continues his work, and apparently has the authority to still tell this guy to keep stum. Aye. The goons are back. Well, one of them's back, readying to stalk Zoe.
That little piece outdrove you.
Huh. And in case you forgot, the bad guys are bad guys. Or is this just how the writer thinks anyway? Man, there's a lot of just driving in this movie, and no lines. I feel this is a common thing in bad movies. I wonder why. Anyway, it's a bait and switch. They're following the wrong gal and are tricked on waiting for nothing. The real Zoe is meeting with Jay, who's here to confront her on being the arsonist. Wow, how did he know?
A certain phrase. A feeling.
Excuse me? Not the abundantly clear appearance of Jefferson the dog in the middle of the video? This film really doesn't want to lean on logical conclusions. It's all just cool guy does cool things. Omnipotence. Anyway, these empty houses that were burned were developed by Zoe's brother. But because of finances, he took his own life. And it was one of the first houses acquired by the feds.
Only remaining family member, a 17-year-old sister.
But didn't you two just... Oh no. But stepping right over that, the two now argue on the cause of the brother's death. After refusing to pay for some political campaign contributions, the same asker then ordered the house to be acquired. And who was the man behind it all?
And I know that person was Victor Brandt.
What?
I'm shocked. Does Jay Nelson switch to the rebel side now? Actually, no. So he gets tased instead. Remember, these are the film's good guys, people. Tase those who disagree with you. Oh my god, what is this now? A rooftop chase scene? There's barely a background to run on. And it's really not doing the clunky animation any favors. I got used to this aesthetic for a while, but this has just brought me right back. Why would you choose to make this if you're so limited in resources? Also, why would Zoe run post-tasing? She's still gonna be turned in by her logic. We're in a train tunnel now. Jay is almost killed, but Zoe now saves him? What is going on? And so, conflict over? Nelson is brought to the base of the rebels, and Elon Musk is there. He's not. I just figured it would sound appropriate, sorry. And we get the usual rebel spiel. Here's the surveillance, the weapons, the silver coins being printed here because...
So their value can't evaporate the way paper money does.
We'd sure stuff that same piece of information down our throats one more time, but... Aren't you literally printing them right now? And silver needs to be mined, which will intrinsically change its value. The whole message this film is pushing is to go back to the gold and silver standard monetary system, even though the consensus from real economists is that it's not beneficial to switch back and very much not some magic stable system. Maybe in a hyperinflated world this could make sense, but this is a fear-mongering movie. It doesn't apply to the real world. Wait until they hear that Iceland has already abandoned all cash. But with all the information laid out, what does Jay Nelson think?
Will you help?
I gotta know. Why'd you save me?
Apparently his brain's running on empty today, sounding like some kind of half-assed NPC over here.
I gotta know. Why'd you save me?
And he doesn't answer the question for a damn long time.
I set everything up.
What's everything?
Us meeting everything.
You knew I'd come to your office.
And Jay Nelson is now upset more so about how even the one-night stand was fake, and he still hasn't answered the damn question. Maybe this guy will get the answer out of him.
Why don't you get one of your whores to help?
But she's no whore. Hell, if I could...
Bruh, she's underage. Can the writers just not with this? Jay doesn't say he'll help. Instead just saying, let me go look into things. And then, out he goes. Just like that. But now the rebels are stalking him instead. It seems more like it's trying to be symbolic that both sides are as bad as each other. I think the movie's just tone deaf, as well as clearly blind if they think this looks good. But now Nelson is here to talk directly to Chairman Brandt. And what do you know? Elon Musk is there. And he will not leave this private conversation. Nelson mentions everything we know, all about Zoe's brother, the bribe. Brandt gets awfully angry and then calms down after hearing this isn't an accusation. He monologues about how people cry to the people in charge, like all villains do, and then calls Nelson to action in bringing Zoe to him. And the followers decide to stop following him now, whilst Brandt plans to kill him in the evening and frame it on the rebels. But before we get to the height of the, tension, it's time for another scene with Dad at the pub, apparently at Nelson's request. It's nice to be wanted.
I'll be right back.
Thanks.
Was that really necessary? Did we really need to see the dad leave just to cut right to when he's back again? Anyway, Nelson needs advice. What do you do if the person you like does something illegal?
We all do stuff that's illegal. I mean, these are illegal.
Yeah, we get the message, Grandpa.
If you love them, you just love them.
And that's all the scene wrote. Dad now conspicuously goes to turn around the car, which, to be fair, I'm not too surprised is shown in this movie too, but really it's because Elon Musk just killed that guy's father. I don't really get the logic of this. If Chairman Brandt succeeded here, then the whole get Zoe thing was completely pointless. He didn't even know if Jay was gonna betray him or not. Or was this another one of those omnipotent feelings again? So, with Nelson's connections to the police, he pulls some strings to have them lie and say that he was in fact the body. Guys, faking his own death.
Can't always believe what you see on the news.
You don't say that line all the time? And just like that, all is forgiven between the two.
What happened between us wasn't part of any plan.
I know.
And so we're now fully Team Rebels. The goal is simple. Taking down Chairman Brandt. Why? Because he's currently running through a process called the Lifetime Appointment Bill so that he can keep his role for life. And that's the enemy. Doesn't really solve the economy's issues, but hey, it's a plot line. Cue the montage of building a stack of money with a bomb in it. It's actually not that interesting of a montage, so skip to the heist. Sneaking that money into a vault. The plan is foolproof. Approach the armed workers and distract them with small talk, bonus points, don't get shot. Jay Nelson is to stand opposite the street in vague disguise to call out when soldiers are on the street, also in clear view the whole time. Zoe is to woo the soldiers with her feminine charms because she's the girl and that's how the world works, obviously. Whilst I've heard better voice audio from a Flash game. That small talk guy, by the way, doesn't really change much, but they convince them the stack belongs with some paperwork, and conveniently there's an old man to scapegoat. And how did the soldier part contribute? Why did these guys immediately throw their stuff away? There's so many logical flaws here, but whatever.
Everybody out, I need to take this.
I make this comment all the time, but yeah, what a powerful delivery. Can feel that conviction again. Jay Nelson calls Brandt directly, asking for somewhere to meet. So they pick the morgue, crematory place, wherever that old place was. Right on midnight. Let's skip to it. That's not me skipping on the runtime. We literally just pop to it now. Nighttime just makes for a more dramatic turn, I guess. And so Jay Nelson arrives alone. And big surprise, an audience favorite, Elon Musk is there. Already breaking Brandt's agreement of no one else appearing. And once at the bottom of the elevator that takes us from the ground floor down to the ground floor, apparently, old Muskie tells him he has to tell him the info now. And the only difference is how much pain he'll feel before telling. This dude's a real creep. And so is the character.
I'm not afraid of pain.
Good. We'll have fun then.
And of course, our hero of this story is some kind of badass that fears nothing and no one. Of course, he's unthreatened by threats and he hates authority. Muskie then goes on to ramble about his evil methods, wanting to put him in the fire alive, feet first, to see how long he'll last. I guess I can see the theme of fire with the real guy, considering rocket fuel. Sorry, my mind went on a wander when I first watched this. The tension's not really resonating with me. But now that lone goon is back to assist. Forget about the other guy.
Find Mr. Nelson.
There's something you should know, Quill.
Though this guy's just not into it either. Literally just stopping in his tracks right there and then. So what does Jay Nelson possibly have to say to one-up this entire situation of being cornered and tortured at gunpoint? Well, it's the same trait he's had this entire damn movie. Omnipotent knowledge.
I knew Victor'd send you instead of coming himself.
Ah, tick number 1 for knowing Victor so well.
And I knew that'd leave him unprotected.
Tick number 2 for knowing where all the members would be, not accounting for the goons, but also, yes, apparently accounting for all the goons.
My friends have already taken him prisoner. Just give him a call. He won't answer.
And number 3 for, actually I guess this one was more manipulated, but in actuality, Zoe hadn't actually acted on her part yet. So now Jay has the upper hand, giving Muskie a number to call, which he does, which then triggers that old bomb inside of the banking vault. Also, all the other rebels come in to corner Mr. Musk.
That was for my father, you sick bastard.
Oh, so then why didn't you hit harder? And with Elon finally defeated, but not really fought against anymore, they kick him out. And he shoots his own men for some reason, just to get caught by the police. I don't really know what he was thinking anyway. I rarely know what's going on inside that guy's head. Why am I so political this week? It's the movie's fault. Zootropolis' fault. Disney's the reason I'm so political. But alright, let's wrap this up. Turns out this omnipotent plan was laid out so Muskie could be framed for the bombing. No one was hurt due to them giving an anonymous tip to evacuate the place, and Brandt, after a brief beating from Zoe, has to answer the door, being arrested on counts of murder. I'm not sure how, though. Apparently it was from evidence on old Muskie, but what ones? How does Brandt get pinned for any of this? This really doesn't make any sense. Also, I guess the moral is terrorism is good if you pin it on somebody else? Either way, the rebels sure are happy. Apparently,
and the people know the Fed isn't holy or invincible.
Though I don't see much connection with all that. It just looks like an explosion. According to them,
They won't trust the money for long. This is going to change.
Because they destroyed some of the paper ones? And as a final cheesy thing, picking up one of the ruined bills is that kid from the very start. They give him a silver circle, walk away as if they're some kind of pack of badasses, and the kid goes chasing after them with the most deadpan face straight into the camera. All to leave the audience with one final oof. Ironic that this movie all about the true value of money was made with seemingly as little money as possible, looking at the outcome. 18 months ago, I just wanted to see something that looked awful. To fall down a rabbit hole of such political nonsense from people that don't seem to understand economics, with strange expectations of how people act or should act bleeding from every faucet of this movie, is not where I expected this to go. And maybe it was a blessing to not cover this in 2019. There's just so much more context these days. But you know what? I have a craving for something better. So I'm just gonna go and boot up The Sims 3. God, what is this? Stop it! I don't get me out of this hell! I have seen some things. Another month means another terrible movie episode, and I came to this fully prepared to see the worst film I had ever had the joy to see. But things took a bit of an unexpected turn. I had originally all prepped up to watch Silver Circle. I mean, look at this trailer. It looks like some PlayStation 2 cutscenes featuring an off-brand Obama and a gun-toting Elon Musk. It was the perfect target for a series like this. And then I tried to watch it, and it's vanished off the face of the earth. All online sources are run dry, all physical copies are taken and unavailable, and even pirating websites haven't dared to handle the task. So instead this episode we've had to resort to plan B. What is the next worst animation I can possibly find on short notice? Something both disgusting to look at and conceptually bizarre. Enter Sir Billi, and really, this trailer footage here pretty much tells you everything you need to know about this film. It's an absolute masterpiece of dysfunctional out-of-touch syndrome. Like, I struggle to even formulate words around this film. It's truly breathtaking, and not in the good way. Sir Billi is, by technicality, the first CG Scottish film to be made, being completed in April 2012, just 2 months before another Scottish animated film peeked its little head. Now, I don't know if the script had this plan all the way through or just took a dramatic dive when he took up the role, but this film is absolutely crammed with Sean Connery references. Why? Well, because they actually managed to dig the old guy out of retirement for one final bout to the end of his career. And what a disaster it has been recently. Skipping out on the likes of Gandalf and the Architect because the scripts were too confusing and setting him up instead for this? Yeesh. And this was no rushed production. Contextually, this film had everything going for it. It had money with £15 million to its name, and it had time, having a 30-minute short done in 2006 and another 6 years to extend that to 80 minutes. But somewhere along the line, it all just fell apart. So let's dive into this Scottish hellhole and see what it can bring us, shall we? So the film opens up 5 years in the past. Actually, no it doesn't. This is a Sean Connery film, remember? So this film actually opens up with its own James Bond-inspired intro dance silhouette tease. What is this? Why does it look like this? Why are we underwater? What is this weird presentation doing in a kids movie? Who is this for? Who is this for? Oh, also, in case you haven't seen enough cursed images in the first 5 minutes, here's the logo for the production company, literally melting down Billy's face into the side of a bee. Why would anyone do this? So now we reach 5 years ago, somewhere in the Scottish Highlands, where we see a couple of police officers throwing caged beavers into the back of this truck. And I mean, that's simple enough to understand, but the delivery on all of it is just disastrous. Firstly, the beavers speak human words. They do it very amateurly and at a very low volume, but they do. And I guess the humans can't understand them? Or the police officers are just that evil, I guess? And then on the police's side of the scene, for a start, they don't seem to have any context for the next line that they're saying, considering how...
Oh, don't cry. Oh, please, oh, don't cry. Oh, don't cry. Shut the door.
Incorrect it all sounds. But then also, in an attempt to give some exposition, our main guy, Officer Mackenzie here, then goes on to ramble about the Scottish Parliament laws to kick out beavers, with his friend McTavish ranting about the mad Europeans who decided to reintroduce them. Mackenzie then continues to ramble on about the benefits of beavers being their taste and use as a fur coat, but my god, it's just so wishy-washy and hard to hear.
My granny had a smashing soft, feckin' furry coat, you know. Feckin' furry coat, you know.
Why does everyone speak like a Scottish version of that Professor Crayon from the last episode? Okay, so slow-paced is kind of the whole theme of this film, and I've tried covering this whole story in one script, and it's just impossible to keep well condensed. So we're gonna do some real warping to fit in all this atrocity, alright? This movie doesn't actually start for 28 minutes. We just have to watch a lot of junk first. So in this prologue scene, the truck driver crashes because, just look at him, one beaver escapes and is presumably adopted by this bunny who is just horizontally stretched or something. 5 years later, we come to Cataness and are introduced to Vicky, the Abomination. Why is she here? I have absolutely no idea. She makes no sense. She's American, rambles about Miami, and stares at you with her cold, dead eyes. She's a mess and a failed mascot for kids to fall in love with, I guess. I'm sure we won't be seeing much of her, right? On the ground, we then meet Barry Banjo. He's not relevant. I don't know why he's here either. And what is that character design? Even the Scots have rednecks, it seems. Next up, we meet Patty Turner, a faintly more important character. And for those of you without any eyes, her most prominent character trait and feature is her very on-display set of Americanism shown from her scooter. Why is an American in a Scottish movie? I'd tell you what happens in this scene, but none of it leads to anything. So we'll skip it. Cut to our favourite officer Mackenzie rambling randomly about that beaver 5 years later. And as he's talking, there they are on the other side of the gate for some reason, with a bunny friend. I can't justify why. At the very least, our conflict here is prevalent, but my god, is this delivery just falling flat. You know, I had a whole plan for this video had I had more time. See, I was hoping to bring back green screen elements with a twist by literally modeling some of the worst shots in Blender so that I could physically walk around them. Here we finally are at the home of our protagonist, Sir Billi. And he looks like a child who aged up 70 years. Seriously, what is that outfit? He's a veterinarian, so naturally he has a cow strapped to a treadmill and a jacuzzi. This never comes back. So Billi is cool, like really cool. Want the proof? He can throw his kitty hat onto the coat hanger. Heck yeah. Oh, and in case you didn't realize, this guy's Scottish. After considering apple, orange, fruity yogurt for a moment, he decides to call his friend Gordy, but not before his first real lines in the film.
You're still looking good, old boy. Still looking great.
I'm sorry, what? Speak up! I mean, I get it's realistic for a man to mumble to himself in the morning, but please, can we get any competency from an acting icon? You can tell he's literally just checked out this entire production. Why are you even here if you're not gonna put in an effort?
Well, he better not be out with that Dalmatian domino again. She's a frisky thing, eh?
What? Is he talking about frisky times with a dog? It's one thing for the animation or story to be terrible, but I literally cannot understand the characters with their minute volume and mumbly delivery. Sean Connery sure has fallen from grace, hasn't he? So his friend Gordy isn't actually a human. Get this, he's a goat. And after Billy praises himself in the mirror, Gordy finally moves into action by 1, also praising Billy like the good little yes man that he is, and then 2, licking the camera lens before sniffing around and chasing his tail like a dog. And then he proceeds to stand up straight, continue to praise Billy, and flamboyantly walk towards the main room. We haven't even scratched the surface of this film, and it makes absolutely no sense. And this kind of behavior here, it's not consistent. This flamboyant act never comes back, and there's certainly no explanation for any of this. Why is he wearing a Kill Bill jumpsuit? How did they meet? Are they a pet? What's their connection? Why can they see the fourth wall? And why, oh why, does the goat randomly pee on the floor with his clothes still on? It's like, there's almost an inkling of a real film going on here, but it's just 99.9% stuff happening. And good luck even trying to understand what that stuff is. Our big boy Sir Billi here has such a lackluster voice actor behind him that you can barely hear his words that lead into what's coming up in the film. Okay, so even at this pace, the script is getting too long, so we're gonna super skip ahead. Billi is to take grandson Jake to school. Jake almost has a personality, but it's never used. Everyone around him is just doing stuff. They drive on their way and are distracted by the romantic interest for Billi. The perfect woman for a man such as he. Someone who's half his age and designed like a 12-year-old got access to a boob slider. This scene is uncomfortable, and it's uncomfortably long. Their mumbling is apparently flirting, and Gordy gives an elbow nudge to the audience for like a solid 5 minutes. It's now we finally hit the first remnant of a story beat. Bessie Boo the Beaver, as she's called, is adopted by bunnies, or so I would guess, there's no explanation. She's forced into log sledding because that's how it's always been, and blah 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 blah. These unexplained characters are dropped into a river. While I could say a million things about this whole sequence, really, the best bit is clearly Bessie Boo acting like a sim witnessing fire for the first time. And Dave consistently cry screaming. What 5-star directing? Okay, we're now at the 28-minute mark. Animals are in the water. When do you think they'll get out? It's at the 48-minute mark. And this isn't even really the main story. It's just the bloated conflict that plays out like a generic TV spin-off episode. I feel like I watched this in Boss Baby. Now, a lot of crap happens in between these moments. It's all filler, honestly, but my does it raise a million questions. Like, how does Billi know these animals? Why does the explanation come across so excruciatingly slowly? What is Gordy even contributing? Why is the direction for voice acting to drown just gargle water? Why is there time for a whole town meeting? Why is Billi threatening a police officer on intuition and getting away with it? Why does Billi have the confidence that he can beat up a younger man? Why call him a coward for doing what you're telling him to do? Why does some magic elixir cure the mother rabbit of almost paralysis? Who are the people who discover Bessie Boo and Dave? His name is Dave, by the way. Why is this film so charged? Why is the dam owner conflict here? They never turn off the slicing turbines unless they did it when I wasn't looking. Why does Mackenzie have a helicopter? How does Vicky destroy said helicopter? Why can't Gordy reach Bessie here? How is Bessie not sliced up? Why is there a bungee cord in the dam? And how on earth does the timing for this possibly work to save Bessie? My God, this film is paced and explained like an absolute shipwreck. It's just consistently dreadful. Oh, but from here is when the movie really begins. Yes, all of that junk wasn't relevant. You didn't miss much, apparently. Now is the time that the movie really starts moving in the final 30 minutes. See, this film wants to flex as many conflicts as possible, and we've only had around 3 up to this point, and not even the main one. So now, Gordy falls into the water from, get this, getting a cramp. Everyone panics, everyone dawdles on it for a while, and the day is saved from Gordy not having a cramp anymore. Hooray! Oh, but it's time for another twist in our conflicts. What? Why? This is just one big Sean Connery reference. Still, they're stranded by the Russians! Oh no! But why is he the best modeled character in this whole film? That's not a good track record for the Scots. While everyone all turns to discuss this Russian for the next 10 minutes, Gordy comes up with his resolution by grabbing hold of Vicky's plane by a rope and flying, even though that doesn't save Bessie or any of the other characters on the boat. And then, next conflict please, he falls and dies. Happy ending, everybody. No, actually, the reality is that Billi saves him with a trampoline that was just standing at his feet, right next to the writer's abandoned integrity. But it's not done yet. He hits his head on the bar, dying. Happy ending, everybody. With everyone sad, Billi then flashbacks to memories of him and Gordy. And while I was watching this sequence, I legitimately searched up whether I was accidentally watching some sequel. But no, this is all just useless backstory jargon, and it really makes no sense at all. Okay, maybe one part makes sense in the whole thing. So the conflict is Gordy might be dead. What we need is Billi's magic elixir that'll apparently fix a stopped heart, right? Oh, but that's right, Vicky's got it. How on earth does Vicky have it? So she throws it down, and who better to do a backflip maneuver than our boy wonder sports fanatic fan, Jake? We totally established his athletic prowess earlier on, right? So they give Gordy the elixir, and it works. Cue the bad ending. Oh wait, no, of course, we've still got this main story plotline to go through. Mackenzie still exists. So he then nabs the beaver from the oblivious Russian, and now on the run, there's only one thing left for Billy to do. Rip up the script and call it quits before it's too late? No, it's time for Sir Billi to go full James Bond and whip out his Aston Martin. What, is he actually a retired James Bond or something? Is this Sean Connery in animated form? This is just absolutely ridiculous by this point, and it only gets worse. Billy's car has spy gear, how fitting considering how technologically illiterate Billy actually is, but Mackenzie escapes anyway. As Billy stops in his tracks, he whips out his secret weapon to defeat the speeding car. A bloody skateboard. This dude is a veterinarian. A perfect man. His family's rich, he's wise, everyone loves him like yes men, he has an Aston Martin, he knows how to control a boat.
Just press the blue lever to lower him to your deck.
What did you think he said? Ah, you dirty. He owns a jacuzzi, he's a humble man, he knows every animal in the Scottish Highlands, and now of course he skateboards. More so than that, he does tricks for no real reason that's clearly slowing down his chances of reaching the speeding car, and then he jumps off of a cliff to parachute down with the Scottish flag. This movie has officially checked out. So of course, he lands on Mackenzie, and he fights him in the car as they steam through a military navy base. They enter in the day, headbutt Mackenzie with some awful animation, and now it's nighttime. Eventually, after like 4 miles into a military base, they stopped. Billy continues to aggressively want to fight, and Mackenzie is arrested after being betrayed by his age-old partner. There's a whole bunch of other dialogue know-how going on here, but I'm just gonna skip it. Also, his friends are here. They just... teleportation. And to end us off with this movie, everyone has a small chat about stuff. Vicky monologues to the audience about... golf? The American girls discuss dating Billy, because of course they do, and we end up at a pub. And so Billy gives a speech at the pub, mumbling about how the events brought them together. It didn't. It brought many emotions. It didn't. And as a team, they all learned something. They didn't. Everyone falls head over heels for him. He's called the Guardian of the Highlands. Billy says he's proud of his family despite them doing almost nothing, and he vanishes off with his plastic love interest. But no, not before another James Bond musical number. No, trust me, you don't wanna see any of this. No, stop. Get me out of this watery hellhole. I've already been here once. I don't want. And for our final moments, Billy's own daughter comments on the love interest's enviable chest, and Vicky gives the audience a thumbs up. Get me off. I'm done with this ride. The end. My God. Actually, no. There's still more. In Scotland, there is no God. We've still got the credit scenes, and honestly, this is probably the best part. It's all character clips for some reason. Like, is it scrapped animations? Is it demo clips? Extracts from the original short? I don't know, but these have more character in them than the actual movie characters. But the best part by far is towards the end, we see Billy with his actual original wife going through the years, and I kid you not, the final clip of the entire film that the audience gets to see is Billy at the gravestone of his own wife, mourning her. That's legitimately the last frame. I'll be honest, that is bloody hilarious. What a way to end a beloved Scottish kids film. I'm lying, of course, that's terrible, but I couldn't make this up. And that's the end. That's the end of Sir Billi. That's the end of Sean Connery's iconic misogynistic career. forever living out this weird, out-of-touch, elderly fantasy of being the idol of town, adored for his wisdom and still having every lady fawning all over him. He ends off rated with the same number that kick-started him up, 007% on Rotten Tomatoes. Or at least, that would be poetic, except he didn't even reach that. It's just 00. Literally 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is an actual achievement. Now, I could have told a genuine deconstruction of every beat and forgotten element, because there were just so many. I feel we missed a lot of foundation for connecting the dots, characters appeared and disappeared, finished an arc and were forgotten from then on. Everything felt like it was poorly stitched together and there was no redeeming factors to this 18-minute bloat fest. But honestly, I think this film works best not as a case study, but just as a spectacle. A moment to stop and think, how did someone screw up so bad? Look at how bad all of this is. I could cook up marshmallows on this dumpster fire. Really, this was an opportunity to share with you what is, without a doubt, the worst film I have ever seen. Not just from the animation or the pacing like I was expecting, but the pure lack of coherency or anything that could appeal to anyone. Story fanatics be damned, innocent people be damned, kids certainly be damned, and Scots, even all the pandering doesn't work out for you. This film was made for one man and one man only, and that is the embodiment of Sean Connery himself. In any other context, this film is just a massive disaster piece, and the closer I look, the more all sorts of details arrive that just scream out another terrible aspect of this film. Why is there a Vicky whistle? Why are these basic fonts used? Why does Jake never go to school? What are these background characters doing? Why does everyone have a crappy backlit outline? Why does Gordy have so many dog references? Why the mumble rant about immigration being what's wrong with Scotland? Why does Billy have no wrinkles? Why does Patty Turner keep interrupting the tension to tell faint puns and Sean Connery references? Why is Billy's daughter so present too? Why is the Admiral German? Why is a kids show demonizing the police force? Why are there movie references in the flashbacks? Kids won't get this. And why is Billy some detached god among men with zero character flaws beyond his abysmal voice acting? I'm not gonna talk about this film anymore. I'm done talking about this terrible film. Please, oh please just make it stop. It could have stopped halfway through and been decent, but it didn't. It could have just been generic and ugly, but it wasn't. It just kept going, digging itself a deeper and deeper grave. And now, my nightmares have plenty of fuel to keep me up at night. Overall, this was a 10 out of 10. Can't wait for the Irish sequel. Sir Patty and the promiscuous adventures of who cares. Just get it off my screen. Whoa, my god, what is this? What is this? This is easily one of the ugliest CG animations I have ever seen in any kind of real production. I mean, who allowed this? Who distributed this? How many people did this have to go through to all be approved? Man, Nintendo could just seriously never get a break. You may be familiar with this series, or at least to a minor extent maybe. Remember that one image of a weird booty Donkey Kong? Yeah, that's from this. No, I don't know what they were thinking either. This is Donkey Kong Country, a TV show from the 90s that is literally as old as I am. It first aired in France on September 4th, 1996. I was probably literally 10 hours old at the time. And boy has it not aged well at all. Now, I've had an awfully chunky backlog this year thanks to prepping for double uploads for 2 months straight, but this is officially the first video made directly thanks to the suggestions page on our Discord. So you can thank Tanzanite the Terrible for this episode. More suggestions will be popping up soon enough. Now, this ain't a quick 90-minute experience. There's 26 episodes in the first season. And yes, there's a second season too. But we're not going to cover absolutely everything today. If you remember our old Boss Baby video from almost a year ago, we're covering the same kind of structure here, skimming across the entire series to capture the general feel of the arc. So you think you know Donkey Kong? I assure you, you don't. The show is based off of the 1994's Donkey Kong Country, so here's a question for you. Where did that game take place? Did you think it was Donkey Kong Island? No, you fool! The right answer was actually in all of Congo Bongo. Congo Bongo. And what's DK's most treasured thing? Was it a hoard of bananas that King K ruled and the Kremlin stole? No! Coconut crystal. Coconut. Every episode is about the crystal coconut. We're going to be covering 3 episodes today. The first one, the last one, and one right in the middle of the series. And to spice things up a little, we'll be switching between the 3 so it won't feel like you're dragging yourself through an elongated, borderline repetitive cycle. It's not as fun as you'd imagine, in order. So episode 1 is Bad Hair Day. Oh yeah, I think when you're in this universe, every day is Bad Hair Day. It establishes our main characters, starting off with Cranky Kong rocking out at the organ, as he's obviously known to do. What's a record player? And singing to us about who he is. Yes, this is also somewhat a musical too, though it honestly sounds like an unpracticed Doofenshmirtz is singing at us. Anyway, he introduces the crystal coconut, expositioning how it does anything, it fulfills wishes, powers things, tells fortunes, etc., and whoever has it rules. And there's Donkey Kong. Free him. Fabled to be the future king of Congo Bongo, all muscle and no brains. Oh god, that animation! You could practically see the keyframes, and boy do they stretch these models out. Both on DK's eyebrow expressions and all of Cranky's mouth. Cranky also shows us King K. Rool, who ironically is like way better modeled than all the Kongs.
The big daddy of evil.
Yeah, sure, I guess that's one way to describe him, but why? And he's just walking right up to Cranky's house, telling the troops to seize the coconut, and apparently they have guns with claptraps in them? And boy do they look ugly, that guy's body's not even moving. So they fire at Cranky's house and attack like termites, and the animation on it just gets worse. But this is a regular thing, you actually get used to it. So Cranky calls for Donkey Kong.
Hey, Diddy, come on up, little buddy.
Why does he sound like that? I've heard all sorts of grunts and calls from him before, but I never would have pictured his voice to be this. But I mean, it's awfully 90s. And Diddy is the cautious one? Isn't he supposed to be like childish and feisty and like a bit of a prankster? Now he's the adult in the room? Okay. So they hear Cranky's call and head on over, crashing onto barrel buttons to fling the troops away. It's goofy and really easy, but I like the animation of them all in the air. And King K sounds posh?
Donkey Kong, Diddy,
These voice directions are whack. Also, this shot is literally just a screenshot of Diddy and DK. What an animation. But let's move on a little in the series now that we've established the basic Kongs and their terrible animation. Episode 13, The Curse of Congo Bongo. Dead center in the series. Skipping the likes of Booty and the Beast. I think we've all seen enough booty already. And that booty gets shown in every single intro sequence in these episodes. It just burns into memory, doesn't it? So this episode starts off with Donkey Kong admiring himself in the mirror at home before discovering a mysterious letter telling of a curse on the island for reading it twice. Meanwhile, Dixie Kong has now been established.
Hey, Dix.
I don't know if I've just gotten used to the style by this point, but her model sorta doesn't seem too bad, and she's getting flying lessons from Funky Kong. Boy, does he not translate too well into this world. Looks like he's got spoons on his eyes or something. Funky almost crashes his plane because apparently he can literally fly in his sleep. And that's the joke. And they get on with their lesson.
Gliding the aerial tide is a cerebral journey into an altered state.
You know, I'm kinda not surprised at this point there's a random Jamaican accent in there. But for these two, at least their voices kinda match up to their characters. Anyway, as the plot continues, King K is in his lair, now with the usual 2 henchmen from before, Clump and Crusher, one being a general type and one being all muscle. And now there's this parrot, Polly Roger, who's entirely original for this animated series. They came from a pirate in Booty and the Beast, ironically, called Captain Scurvy, but he looks like a cannon. That's not important. With the henchmen failing to come up with a plan because they literally can't decipher their own code somehow, K. Rool sends out Polly Roger instead. Though not before King K looks like he's bubbling under the skin or something and Polly Roger moves every bone in their model. Did I mention this animation is weird? Still, I know I've only shown you one loss and skipped 12 episodes so far, but King K at this point just seems so defeated.
Just hurry.
So with that establishment out of the way, clearly there's a decline for DK over this arc, and the running theme each episode is always trying to get that coconut. How does the finale of the season try to wrap everything together? Well, this one is a thin line between love and ape. It's a love story, but not really an ending for the series in any fashion. you'll see. So episode 26 we're on now starts with a barrel helicopter. I don't know how technology works on Congo Bongo, but it hosts our final two main characters. Candy Kong, who you'll probably know as Donkey Kong's girlfriend love interest, translating from a relatively humanoid voluminous monkey into, oh my god! What did they do to her? That's terrible. Was meth involved? And alongside her is an original abomination that we'll never see done right, Bluster Kong, having an attempt of human hair growth on his apely body. I mean, what was going on in the designer's room? Anyway, this scene is pretty upfront, with Bluster clearly being interested in Candy and grumpy that DK has her despite him owning a helicopter and a factory, which employs Candy in the first place, so this is a really inappropriate conversation between colleagues. Candy upfront rejects Bluster, stating that she's Donkey Kong's girl, and after a goofily poor landing, Candy is swept away by Diddy and Donkey Kong pretty quickly. It's interesting because in the background of this whole scene, it's not like Bluster is animated badly from a technical standpoint, but the direction for him is just so incredibly obtuse, like it's an amateur theatre play. It's just so over the top. And hey, you know the drill at this point. If you haven't already, do subscribe. So Bluster, in his envious ways, realizes that though DK is confirmed as future king, Candy is not confirmed as future queen, and wants to get a wish of his own from the magical coconut. Yes, this episode 2 surrounds this random MacGuffin they invented.
To get Candy to love me?
Ugh! Was that supposed to be an eyebrow raise? That doesn't translate at all. Meanwhile, we're back at King K's lair again, and now he has a broken arm. Don't worry, you haven't missed anything. It was from the events Diddy and DK were describing this episode. He's attacking his goons again in anger, and so off they go, I guess. And Bluster makes it to Cranky's place, telling him that DK and Candy went to Orchid Valley, where it's apparently poisonous this time of year, forcing Cranky to leave.
And just leave you here all alone with the coconut. I sneeze till it hurts.
Wow, Cranky's actually right on the money. Smart chimp. And then he goes anyway. What fantastic writing. Anyway, you see where this is going. Bluster goes to the coconut and it teaches him how to make a love potion. All the while King K's troops are spying on him and learning about it themselves. You know, I've kind of been skipping a lot of the jokes in this show, but they're really not very good. Some are just neutral in concept and the rest is just a bit of slapstick, whoa, I'm falling over. Let's flip back round to episode 1 to see what's going on. With King K defeated for the very first time, he's now returned to his lair, telling of how the bananas give DK strength, and that they need to cast a curse on him, which is apparently a thing available in this world in a book right nearby. How convenient. There he learns that cutting Donkey Kong's hair will strip him of all his power. Time to make a plan. And DK is admiring himself in front of the mirror. This is strangely a running theme. It's Candy's birthday today and DK wants to meet up with her. But first, preparations need to be made. And honestly, as I'm watching this, I don't think as a kid I'd understand what's going on. The audio is so, I guess, poor in execution that when the show tries to do some interesting direction, I don't think it really sells. Like this bit.
Only I could get her away from Buster Barrelworks.
It's a sentence finishing transition, but I can barely register what Cranky's saying. And again, he's randomly just up there for that goofy falling over joke. This is the factory where Bluster builds those barrels, and Cranky's in the machine for the goofs. He's expositioning Buster and the factory, but it is boring. Is this really for kids? So try not to get too confused, it's another Candy and Bluster scene, but predating everything. Bluster has a cake for Candy and she's not interested.
Watching my figure.
Don't bother, I'm watching it for ya.
Ew. Bluster invites Candy to his place and she's got other plans with an appearing Donkey Kong. Why is he on the conveyor belt now? Whatever. And then there's this whole story beat of Candy getting spattered with cake, but it literally makes no cinematic sense. It was stopped before and was never shown reversing. Bluster walked away, but now suddenly he's back, so did he splatter her in frustration? So then, why is Donkey Kong being blamed for it now? Like, what? Also, it's musically played off with this trumpety whine.
He already got one.
Donkey Kong?
What a sound design. Meanwhile, King K's troops have built a robot clone of Candy. I don't know where they got the technology of the Inspector Gadget, but clearly I don't understand the rules of Congo Bongo. Also, this Candy then goes off on a musical number. Kind of. The voice actors just kind of sing, and there's music with it and like a dancing rig, but there's no real direction or visual play for it. This apparently happens twice per episode. And King K's ecstatic that this clone can now cut DK's hair, which she promptly does as Diddy watches in horror and disappears just as quickly.
Oh
no. Geek alert.
Yes, because as we all know, geeks are famously bald on the head. And you'll never guess what happens next. King K crashes Cranky's crib recurrently in an encore, Crusher is sent to go forth, DK makes his reappearance and is promptly pounded. K-Rool gets the coconut and just walks away with it.
Ever since Candy cut my hair and told me she wanted to make me her little love slave.
I'm sorry, this was allowed in a kid's show? Are you serious? The 90s were a different world, weren't they? Ugh. This gorilla's got some genuine hormones running in him. Also, what's Diddy been doing this whole time? Well, with the meat of the story out of the way, let's peek on over to episode 13 again. So, Polly Roger's been sent on their mission, and over at Cranky's place, he's going crazy over that mysterious letter, distraught that the other Kongs got one too, telling of the legend that every 100 years, the ghost of Pirate Bluebeard Baboon delivers the curse of the double doubloon. Reading it twice causes total island-wide doom, and DK's already read it once. And the coconut crystal is already losing power. One more read and the coconut fades and the island sinks like a ship. This honestly sounds more like finale talk than the actual season finale. Now it's time for a song, right? Well, either way, Donkey Kong now just goes off on the most out-of-context dance number about how they could all be doomed. It's really, really bad. I still don't even understand why these are even a thing. It's not like this is inspired by the DK rap, it predates it.
With Bluebeard's curse, things go bad to worse. It looks like we're all doomed.
And like, it doesn't even have a satisfying ending. What is this? Does it make more sense in French? So DK and Diddy run off to find every ape on the island who've gotten the same letter. King K's troops haven't made much progress on their plan, and the guy's even contemplating if he wants the coconut that badly. Though of course, that's not going anywhere. Diddy and DK first get to Funky and Dixie on their flying lesson, telling them not to read the letters on the radio that is disrupted enough to sound like they're saying the opposite. You know this cliche. They start reading it and are stopped by pure luck as Dixie randomly does some aileron rolling backflip or something, dropping the letters for the Kongs to catch. Polly Roger attempts to steal the coconut but ends up with the book instead that cures the curse, and now Cranky uses the coconut's power to hologram anywhere on the island. Apparently this is a thing. I clearly don't understand Donkey Kong lore. But back to DK and Diddy, they do the same thing trying to convince Candy not to read, and she almost does until Funky's plane luckily swipes at her. What an ex machina. King K now with the book learns of spells he can now cast at anyone he wants, freezing them, making them dance, everything. And Cranky spots it too in his hologram teleporting. The logic of this world has really just gone off the rails, hasn't it? Back to DK's quest, it's Bluster's time. Apparently wanting to read it randomly in the middle of the day. Don't think about it. And with DK wanting the letter, Bluster avoids him as much as possible. Mission failed, I guess. Here's a detour back to King K, who's doing nothing, but he's enjoying the moment so much he has a song for us all. I'm gonna skip it, for your benefit. DK and Diddy tail Bluster to a tree in the jungle and trick the letter out of his hands. They've got them all. Except for one, Cranky Kongs. So on that cliffhanger as we enter Act 3, how's our real finale coming along? Well, after the funny fool of Clump the General, Diddy, DK and Candy are having a banana picnic in the jungle, where Cranky finds them surprised that they're not in the Orchid Valley. Whoa, Bluster lied before? That's such an easy gag, but it always gets me. And Cranky is apparently so exasperated that he can't formulate his words. That's the gag of this whole scene. No, it's not very good. And Bluster leaves pretty quickly, creating that love potion come nighttime. He's so enamored at the thought, it's his song number now. Honestly, it's probably the most fitting example in the whole series. And King K overpowers the moment by trapping Bluster and using the potion for himself.
Love hurts.
They then find Candy randomly in the middle of the jungle at night, apparently, and spray her.
I was about to ask. Your place or mine?
Oh god, the hormones in this show. The Kongs try to work out what Bluster was up to and eventually realize they could just ask the coconut. And learning of the news, DK rushes out to Bluster. Did this really take all night? Back at the lair, Clump has sobered up from his experience last night, teaching everyone the rule that the potion has a time limit. But King K just sends Candy to grab the coconut for him anyway without giving her another dose. Logic! So DK finds Bluster in his caged state, he didn't move at all night, positively twitching with bad animation anger, and then leaves just as quickly when he hears the King K news. Bluster now chooses to free himself and tries to be the hero too. And Candy appears at Cranky's. Everyone sure is swapping places this episode, I can barely follow it. She laughs at the thought of loving Bluster and announces her love for King K. Rool and steals the coconut. But like, Diddy Kong witnesses all of this, but then Candy just makes it back safe anyway. Okay. DK comes flying onto the scene and... Oh yeah, that's been his catchphrase this whole time, by the way. With DK overpowered, King K is triumphant, so it's time for the next song number, Spotlight and all. Really, it's just any excuse to not actually use the coconut, I think. But as the episode comes towards its end, let's do one final loop, the finale of all 3 episodes. With DK weakened, Funky Kong appears in his plane for the first official time, offering to take him to the...
Mellow Yellow Plantation.
Man, is this meant to be a euphemism? I can't even tell. Well, it's banana heaven, and DK has to eat as many as he can to get his strength back. Then it doesn't work. Meanwhile, Cranky is an alchemist now, apparently. This is also a running theme in some future episodes, and he builds a potion that'll cure DK. So I don't know why he let him fly off with Funky in the first place. Candy and Bluster are on the case, and King K's doing a speech and nothing else really. With Bluster struggling on the mission in the middle of the jungle, he sabotages the antidote so that Donkey Kong can be out of his hair. He's just not one for politics. And doing so grows a massive banana tree that I guess rebirths all the other trees again. This was supposed to be in his stomach. Anyway, one more special banana now revives his hair. This plot point really just fell through, didn't it? Now he's strong, he crashes into the lair, kicks the coconut perfectly back into place, and beats up Crusher off screen because I realized this show doesn't actually have the budget and tech to do a properly done action sequence. Wow. And with an incredibly bright light source masquerading as the sunset, DK goes to Candy's birthday event where she gives him a present, and he can't tell the difference between the 2 candies. And that's your ending. Episode 1 is over, and the plot really didn't make that much sense in the second half. How's episode 13? So Congo Bongo is doomed with 1 letter unaccounted for, and King K is continuing to do absolutely nothing, playing with all of his newly discovered spells even more. Though, actually, I discovered in that dance sequence we skipped last time, there's literally a quick frame in the middle of it of the camera legit glitching and turning to the side, revealing the geographical errors from what's off screen. Whoa. Obviously, the camera is keyframe too, and here there's just one wrong piece. It also explains why so many shots are just not filled right. They're not planned frame to frame, it's animated to move into the right shot. Kinda. Anyway, eventually King K spots Cranky's letter in the book he got, and Cranky's hologram taunts and distracts him. And even Polly Roger knows of the danger of the curse. But in a genuinely smart move, K. Rool threatens to read it unless they give him the coconut in a deal. DK and Diddy silently appear in the lair, and King K reads it quickly, expecting there to be more. The island is now set to sink. And out of character now, DK is calm, having an actual big brain plan, remembering that there's a cure in Cranky's book. Wouldn't it make more sense for this to be Diddy's idea or something? So after a nonsensical scuffle with Polly Roger and King K trying to stop saving the island and themselves, even though they're also scared, DK eventually dives for the book. What a powerful ending. In reality, he says the curing words that are incredibly basic.
Read these words and you will see your island is no longer cursed.
And the day is saved. Time to walk away happily as K. Rool's troops are trapped in their circusy antics. Oof. Even with a high-stakes plot like that, the ending sure feels easy. Let's hit that real finale now, shall we? So this too goes as you'd expect, with Candy now sobering up from the love potion amongst the songly delays and then being sprayed again. I guess that's at least a little bit new to the usual cliche. But with Diddy and Cranky appearing now, it's revealed that a second spray will cause not love, but hatred. What follows next is a sporadic spray of everyone being flip-flop between love and hatred. Cranky and Diddy take back the coconut, Crusher is joined in the spray fest, and King K is Looney Tunes reverse Uno carded into accidentally spraying both his men with anger. I don't know when DK sobered up to help, but apparently he did. And the spray runs out. King K is defeated by his own men. And Bluster tries to escape with the barrel of love potion, only to be attacked by Candy herself and falls in love with his reflection. Though, wait, When did Candy sober up again? Was it because she was sprayed by DK? Shouldn't she be distracted? Whatever. This is the closest thing to a legitimately good ending to the bunch. I'll just let it be. So the coconut is returned, Candy has a weird sharp shadow on her and says that she's always DK's girl. And here's another shot of Bluster and himself. And that's the ending of the entire season. Woof. Was watching the whole season worth it? No, there is no arc. It's just the same foundation with some new toppings every time. It's strange because on one hand, I can totally admire trying a 3D animation show at such an early time. Clearly everything was new and it was like a first time thing. But man, so much of the execution went wrong. The camera shots are off, the audio is terrible, and the animation really doesn't do it any favors. The fact that this was popular and got a second season just amazes me. What does that even look like? Turn it back! It's got a little redesign, but I think I've seen more than enough. I really don't have any more to say about it. It's just an incredibly ugly show with an incredibly bonkers take on the universe, songs that make no sense and are presented awfully with jokes that are scattered in that are 90% falling over and 10% If I was a meme lord, I'm sure I could find a million cursed gifs inside this series, but as I am right now, I think I'd best have a break. I'm Congo bongoed out. What even were those DK teeth? And I had to watch a baby DK that looks like that, and a baby King K that's just shrunken down, and Bluster's just wearing cuffs. Like, where's the shirt play? Oh, so many questions. Oh good, just the most horrendous art style, but this time with a proper budget behind it. The perfect example for a terrible episode. It is Mars Needs Moms. And I'm going to be pronouncing it with that horrible vowel the whole time. This is an Image Movers production. With so many movies that look just this uncanny and creepy, it's almost a wonder on how they did manage to succeed with Polar Express. How did we let them get away with a Tom Hanks child? This studio is the passion project behind Robert Zemeckis, who's doing everything he can to disparage his legacy from Back to the Future. Also, it's apparently a Disney production this time around. Alright, let's get into this. So we begin on Mars. What a surprise, as we see the Mars rover out and about, but beneath it there is industry, there is mystery, there is facilities. Ugly, ugly, metallic facilities down here. Why did the monkey literally come out as first? Welcome to the vibe of Mars Needs Moms, where we're next gonna see that baby child being witnessed on a monitor by this thing. And somehow, it gets even uglier. I don't know who designed the characters behind these alien Martians, but why do they look like they are into drinking piss? Like, look at their faces and tell me I'm wrong. So they've locked onto a scan of Earth. Over to a very overexcitable child bouncing in front of an ice cream van for some reason. What, is that going to be played by Tom Hanks too? And they scroll through more mums, shouting at their children for some reason, lingering a long time on pretty much every shot, and you know where this goes. They focus on the main mum. Oh my god, she's so commanding, she's the one! And on Earth, it's all just an argument about doing the bins and shutting the door and answering the phone? Ugh.
I have to do everything around here.
God, what a nightmare. The dad is calling on the phone saying he's not going to make it back in time. You know, it's this cliche. Dad's flight is cancelled by the heavy rain. But hey, the mum says if the child finishes their dinner, you could watch zombies on pay-per-view. Oh, this movie is dated. But then the child goes on to not finish their dinner and kick up a right old fuss about it.
No one likes zombies. They're an abomination.
I like zombies. But yeah, after this introduction, this kid is just so whiny and annoying over the most mundane of things as well. The kid then goes on to feed the food to the cat and just look at his face while doing it. The cat immediately vomits up the broccoli, so he's caught. Sent to bed for poisoning the cat. Now he's jumping on the bed to be told off again. I hate this gremlin child. Why is his head like that? This child alone looks like a Martian.
Yeah, well, my life would be so much better if I didn't have a mom at all.
What a horrendous child. And that's our protagonist, folks. Who sleeps on 3 pillows anyway? But yes, overnight he begins to feel regretful. He's gonna go and tell her he's sorry, only hours and hours later after peacefully sleeping without the guilt. Whereby he sees the light in her room, the mom is missing, and whoa!
Mom?
She's been taken by aliens, what a surprise! Gee golly whiz, I wonder why that could be. We see the rocket ship and the mom sleeping inside of the pod. So nice of them to include a glass window specifically so we can see her. You should really aim for the glass, mate. And then the kid is accidentally taken up, shoved into the landing gear as it all compacts in. And somehow he's not being sucked down by the force of gravity for a good long while. The rocket shoots through a portal and then lands on Mars, where we see there's a secret base coming up. Again, with so much glass. The excerpts of space are literally just out there. This is dangerous. Granny Piss Gremlin over here never speaks English, so you're just kind of sitting haphazardly listening to shrieks and rambles. On the one hand, I guess you could say it's dialogueless, but, you know, it's not exactly the nuance of WALL-E, is it? WALL-E. And then the girl alien here seems empathetic. She's clearly meant to be the one with the innocent vibe on the attachment. However, you kind of lose that essence when immediately afterwards you can practically see the entire curvature of her ass. The boy is spotted, put into a pod, and that's it. That's the 2 hours. Mom gets extracted, or whatever the aliens plan to do with her, and we hit the credits. Mars needed moms, and now they got one. The end.
Mark? No, that's vomit, but I understand the confusion.
In reality, the lights turn off. Why were they ever on? And the doors open for him. Randomly. Time to explore the mystery of this Mars base. There's low gravity, and the lights turn off.
Low gravity! Oh, keep it together!
Riveting, eh? And there's a hacker man giving directions to jump down a chute. And so he does. Jesus Christ, they're really throwing him like a ragdoll. I think I feel bad for the poor mocap actor. And the boy lands in the scrapyard. Kinda like WALL-E. The ending of Toy Story 3, you see?
A world of trash! It is awesome!
You said it, kid. Turns out there's an underground society here of chimp-like Martians, and it turns into a game of charades of mom-related things, and they all follow? What is this? And then they all go in to hug him. And then he's abducted again by a spider robot with the exposure setting on too high for the camera. There's just like a lot that happens all at once. You kind of just witness. This is a movie to witness, you know? He's hot air ballooned up to the hacker man, and then smashed down onto the flimsy bridge. This child is unlikable, whiny, and now just strange stuff happening all the time. This isn't a very likable movie, is it? Like, I get it's going for mystery, but like, why is it all so creepy?
You like video games, man? Check it out.
And no amount of gaming references will make this idea work, you know? It feels like they're trying to bait out the children in the audience. So now we meet Gribble, a strange, ugly human to add to the collection. He's here to stop interplanetary communism from the Ronald Reagan Secronauts. What? Why is that the line? Gribble then goes on to give the child a weight belt. He laughs at the aliens being pranked on his monitor. Then he adds a Martian translator. Later on, he also gives him like a stopwatch and so. It's just like, he just gives him a bunch of gear. And Gribble is just a classic, annoying, weird bro gamer dude, you know? He just wants to hang out 24/7, playing games and watching TV forever. An incredibly flat, one-dimensional character, clearly made for a kid's movie. But again, it's not the nuance of WALL-E here. And on the side of things, he's hiding the story of the mom situation.
I don't want to tell you, and you can't make me, okay?
Why is he so immature? It's so off-putting. This movie is creepy all the way along. I don't think there's any character that makes me comfortable. But he finally tells the truth.
Fact is, Mars needs moms.
Mark? No, that's vomit, but I understand the confusion.
Oh, come on.
What the heck does that mean?
So, there's hatchling Martians and their terrible mothers. And the ones upstairs are all female. So how does a species function like that? They build nanny bots to raise the children, of course. One motherbot per child. Completely non-reusable after that.
Who knew mothering was so hard, huh?
And they mean to find someone who's really good at controlling children. They would have slim pickings in a modern world. Furthermore, we get to see Mom's memories, as Gribble goes on to exposit that the Martians only really care about order and discipline. And with the memory extraction machine, they take out that essence and put it into the nanobots through a solar wind system. Okay, we don't need to go into that much detail. When the sun rises, it happens and extracts. So with the mission of, we gotta save Mom, off they go running before time runs out. Don't expect much from the plot. Just gonna tell you now.
Less than 7 hours, that's all?
God, I hope this movie isn't that long. Also, there is no fatigue. Like, this is an all-nighter of a prompt. I guess there's a lot of adrenaline, but it doesn't really work. Also, on top of like the 3 or 4 equipment gear we've seen, there's also a helmet now.
This is gonna be gribble-tastic.
This is like a cringe movie speedrun, honestly. We then come to hear about other aspects of this world. There is the SIS, the Supervisor's Secret Security. And then the boy comes out as saying, anything else you forgot to mention? As if this hasn't already been a like 10-15 minute chunk of exposition. And they essentially say no. But then there is more, as Gribble goes on to exposite to us and the robot spider machine that this is just a ruse, getting the kid to be chased for 10 minutes to save him, to be eternally grateful to Gribble, to then stick around. But alright, time to finally explore the bloody Mars base. And somehow already, we're 1/3 done in the movie. Already, nothing started yet. The closest thing to action we've seen is being able to conduct a colonoscopy with just our eyes so far. I mean, either nothing started or it's just been a half an hour drag. So, he's sneaking about in his Ready Player One suit. The kid hops into some army formation and nobody behind him questions it, and the granny piss gremlin runs everything around here. The supervisor hates the graffiti tags around here, and the mom's at the top of the citadel. Rubble continues to explain the flaw in the boy's plan and says that there's a trapdoor that he'll release him in. And of course, because he's explained the whole thing, it's not gonna happen now. I mean, I get it, it's just because I've watched too many movies and I'm not the demographic, but also, why is it written so immaturely, this movie? And then, whoa, he's trapped in the metal detector gate, wow. Gribble then goes on to say, run like hell, even though the next move is to open the trapdoor, which requires him to stay still. But I do like this next line. Honestly, it's the best part of the movie.
I pushed the wrong one.
Oh my gosh! And so now the security can even spot where he's being spoken from, as the child is now told to run and trapped in an elevator. He's on the run. This next sequence is all about Gribble giving poor directions as the kid runs around, and then Gribbles is caught, calling out to his mommy. There's a part where the kid is trapped in a cupboard and dangles out the window. Somehow the guy chasing him looks out the window and doesn't spot him with the slowest neck movement of all time, apparently. Until we get to... Enter the lady alien, the tagger, spraying with a rainbow flourish as the boy falls off the wall and she catches him. All of her voice, for some reason, has a high pass effect added onto it, and then also not for some reason. And as for her dialogue...
Not the fuzz!
The whole dialogue in so much of this movie is just cringy, young bait, I think it's trying to be. Whilst at the same time, the messaging behind this movie is aimed for, like, 5-year-olds. They really messed up the demographic for this movie, man. So she dives down the elevator after the boy. Now she can fully speak English, and they're watching a TV show. Huh?
It's a chrysanthemum, baby!
Alongside being aimed for 5-year-olds and written for 12-year-olds, why does every shot show her ass? So she's obsessed with some 60s hippie show, obsessed with all the color and psychedelia. God, she'd hate the modern world. And the kid goes around and immediately calls out the end arc character development, I guess.
But I was wrong.
Because...
She looks after me and she tells me what to do.
And now the kid's going on to just list all the things that she does in the hallway as they're walking. And it's a very immature way of describing a mother, but sure. And the final note being the sentimental one, sure, is...
She loves me.
So now that that's established, they jump down chute number 3, back in with the trash, where they find everything has been trashed. We see that Gribble has finally been taken, and oh my god, there's only 5.5 hours left of time. Over an hour has passed already? Oh no, actually, there's somehow just 1 hour left. I mean, I know a Mars day is longer than an Earth day by 40 minutes, but this timeline does not make sense. The kid then goes on to spot a capsule of Gribble's human things. His name is George Gribble, wow. They find that spider pet, whose name is Two-Cat, and the aliens now have a firing squad, and that's where Gribble is going. Okay, forget all the magical alien technology they have. Just a firing squad in the middle of the movie. Isn't this aimed for 5-year-olds as well? It's kind of dark. And I wonder why past aliens were shot. So immediately Gribble's here, ready to be executed. He's listing a bunch of cool things that mean he shouldn't get shot. None of it really makes him a fun character. And then the kid swings in. How does this work? Where did he come from? The lady now also gets a gun, magically prepping to shoot. Her anus still in frame for those wanting a quick sniff, as she chucks a piece to the kid and is ballooned away. They all jump through the floor and dodge a billion bullets. You kind of gotta, you know, suspend your disbelief at this point. And then they all fall to their deaths.
What? No, that's vomit.
Yeah, how haven't they died up to this point? Like, I know gravity is also different on Mars, but these are some crazy falls that they're constantly taking. Thank you for making it halfway through this video. I'm sorry for everything you've gone through so far, but there's still another half to do. This is the point where I tell you to check below to see whether you are subscribed if you want to keep up with any other terrible animated movies we cover. We also do general movie news for all of 2024 this year, so give it a consider. You can also give us suggestions for future terrible movies over on our Discord server, but otherwise, I'll let you get back to the terrible Mars Needs Moms. Oh, so we come to learn that it's only males that are down here, and the males only really know how to hug, which is why they chuck them down here. They continue to be chased down while in the trash. The boys fall into the waters. It's all very fast, to be honest. The pacing of this movie is off. But now there's a luminous jellyfish place. Gribble-tastic, as George defines it. And now we come to almost a conflict. Gribble wants to just stay here and rebuild as he is, never wanting to go back up to the above lands again. Whereas Milo retorts with,
Your name's George.
wow, he learned the law from the one time he stopped in his tracks these last 50 minutes.
You see this?
No, it's transparent. And he's like, how could you possibly know how I feel? Because he's going through the exact same thing as you right now. Like, it doesn't take a genius to work out. We've already been told, and this is like the stupidest dialogue you could ever put in this movie. Conceptually. Just because you don't have a mother doesn't mean you don't know how to grow some IQ points. In fact, they're even going to go on to explain that it's the exact same thing that they went through as we go into a flashback of Gribble's mum, where they explain it's not fair that when they take your mum, you know, you can't find her. Gribble ended up on Mars as well. They strap her up to a machine, and then she was disintegrated.
I'll never see my mom again.
It's like the motivations are somehow in reverse. You should be out here trying to help. Emotionally, you're invested. To which, I guess then, Gribble does have a change of heart, because he flashbacked. But it's like it was new information to him. Why would he not have the same motivations before a flashback? But now he's all like, we're gonna go get your mum. It's not really a change of heart though, is it? This is all just such poor and simplistic writing. Ah, also, Key is the name of the alien.
Come on! We gotta beat feet!
On kink popularity? I mean, I can tell you're really trying. There is a weird undertone to pick up from this movie. Even if it is just meant to be an inside joke for the parents watching. By this weird phrase, what she really means is run. Gribble does the whole bad means good phrase cliche. It's you know, just all your classic stupid dialogue in one place. And then they turn around with,
I think you're amazing.
You met less than a minute ago! I think the director's just trying to fuel some Rule 34 fanfic. They then go to knock over some vines and showcase a Martian family as a whole big hieroglyph. And the alien's like, what, our parents? Whoa, we had a family? And the kid's like, yeah.
If you Martians had parents, you wouldn't have to kidnap.
Up to this point, the Martians had always been raised by machines, or so they were told, when clearly that wasn't always the case. The lesson here, kids, is to have unprotected sex with the opposite sex. And with these character designs, that's clearly the intention. Reproduce as God intended, or Martian God. So now it's a race to the finish. There's people being checked at security. The jail is right next to the silo on the spaceship. So they're gonna go to jail on purpose. But also to make progress, need to take out the guards. It's a whole heist thing. They immediately get caught. They tranquilize the guards. They're at the jail pods. Wingnut, one of the males, gets spotted along the way and they release him from the pod. They question the concept of hugging and then accidentally open the pods to all of the males. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. I've seen how this plays out on the internet.
Who let the dogs out?
Oh, duh.
There's a new batch of young baby boys going down. They're going to be all alone without the hairy tribe guys, even though they have each other. So they need to save the hatchlings. And so then they some do. That's just like another thing. It's slightly odd that the boys all have dreadlocks and are shown as stupid tribesmen, you know? Like, is there Is there something problematic to that? It's interesting how almost offensive every Martian has managed to be, with the women being so incredibly over-sexualized and the men being so overly idioticized. Is that a word? We'll go with it. Anyway, they go to the rocket, they zap the door panel. Milo is now on the surface, hopping towards his mom, just like Gribble did back in the day. All the while, Key is getting close to Gribble.
I dig it when you change color.
What an odd kink they're gonna have. And the over-sexualized woman and a grubby-looking guy is totally some sort of fan service somewhere. Milo then drops into a chasm. He's almost dropped, but is caught by Gribble. He teleported, I guess. And then Gribble goes on to rocket them over there. Why? How? Granny Piss Lady Martian then finally spots them. And again, is never speaking a language, which kind of loses something on her, you know? She's just such a generic, shrieking villain. There's no character development, there's no interesting, cool lines. She's just Granny Piss Lady. But now we're here. Milo gets in, struggling to get our mom out. Gribble, on the other hand, delays the soldiers that are there. The big main rocket they want to use to leave accidentally starts going off because the passcode was saying the name Gribble. All the while, the males come bursting through the chutes for some reason, kicking all of the nanny bots over. All right, children are landing on the floor. They're zapping the nurses. We've only got 2 minutes for the rocket ship. The mom wakes up. Ah, she must have seen the piss ladies. Granny goes ahead to shoot through the door that's locked. It was that easy before, are you kidding me? And just as Granny aims at Milo, we get... Oh my god, it's the emotional height of the movie. The rocket's firing without them. The mom grabs him, puts her helmet onto him. No. Well, now he's stuck with that helmet forever. He'll never be able to take that off, even in the air. And the mom dies on the surface. Could be worse, kid. If we were following the laws of physics, her eyes would probably explode out as well from the pressure. All the babies and the males are watching through the window. Gribble runs past them. And oh my god, he finds a hidden underground helmet from his time from the last time. We saw it during the flashback. At least it's a valid Deus Ex, I guess. And it fixes her up. She had an oxygen deficiency for like a minute there. Like, what are the effects of that? We sure there's not brain damage coming up?
You saved me.
Gribble's right there, man. And the kid, of course, has come full circle, being like, my life wouldn't be better without you. What a surprise. I can't even dress myself yet. The rocket returns somewhat, and they chase towards it before Granny bursts out of the ground. The movie's still going.
You will surrender.
That's like her only line. Not even a good villain line, is it really? And we get the confrontation of the background of the Martians. This is the way it's always been. No, she lied to us.
Look!
We can't see anything! It's transparent! And so she reveals the baby glyphs to the soldiers. They're not meant to be raised by machines, they're meant to be raised by family. Would soldiers really just stop on the spot like that from just mild evidence, really? Well, I guess they must all be really horny, since that's practically the canon ending of this movie. They make a whole beat about how we don't have time to raise the hatchling. The males never helped, only dancing and playing. The soldiers don't make any arrests. They do in fact stop to the glyphs. And the evildoer is you, piss granny lady. I mean, it still asks a million questions. Like, where do the hatchlings come from? Do they not still fornicate and reproduce? Is this ever explained? Is there a sperm extraction thing as well? I'm sure the internet has a deep running explanation somewhere, but I'm scared to look, you know? Everyone celebrates, they portal back to Earth, land in some forests. Gribble and Key choose to go back to Mars.
I'm gonna hang out with Key.
God, I hate that this is canon. They have more final goodbye things like we'll keep in touch, we're best buds, yada yada, pen pals, Xbox Live, some reference to early gaming, I'm sure, that's meant to be endearing but isn't really. The mother, in her rare line and an actual sense of endearment, says,
Your mother would be proud of you.
But I imagine she'll also follow that up with, but also, who are you? I've been awake 5 minutes. To which they then finally end off their goodbyes with... Ugh. The rocket leaves. Milo and Mom are back returning to their house. Apparently this entire forest was just in their garden or something. It's the Happy Days epilogue. Dad! He's still the favorite parent, I bet, though. Milo goes on to take out a randomly placed bin that shouldn't have been dirty in the first place because no one's been around to make a mess this whole time since the last time the bins were taken. And the dad's like, wow, he's a really changed kid now. Wow. And then Milo shoots the bin. He hasn't learned environmental burning factors yet, and he never will. Ugh. This has just been a terrible, basic, ugly movie throughout. Ugly is really emphasized, with an uncomfortable sexual undertone and strange messagings on gender, kind of. The males now are suddenly being parents, so that kind of removes that whole conflict without really addressing it. You just needed to exile them for a few decades, and then they were fine again? I don't know. Oh, also, the granny is pissed on. See? I told you they had faces for piss! Gribble sends images to NASA. I assume he also has an OnlyFans he also sends to NASA, teaching the ways of deep alien biology from somehow the outside. And then we come to see that the kid was, in fact, an adult whose voice is pitched up later in the behind the scenes. It really could have been Tom Hanks the entire time. It probably added to the uncanny nature of absolutely everything. The demographic for this movie has really been absolutely everywhere. I don't know who this is for. It's like the messaging was aimed way lower than what it should have been. This was meant to be like baby's first movie, but then it's inappropriate to have these crazy over-sexualized body figure designs and showing every single angle in every single shot. The aesthetics are just too creepy and weird and sexual for young kids. The messaging's too young and babyish for anyone else. And then I don't think there's anything for the parents, unless they wanted to jack off without their kids noticing. It's just a bit of a gross, grimy movie. Mars needs moms. I think Mars needs moms needs help, if you ask me. The terrible Trolls ripoff. There it is. Look at it. Look at this absolute abomination. This glorious piece of art was suggested to us on Discord by cursed people. Thank you to Blue Bomb 716, Jonah Craft 7, Vincent was here 732, deleted user apparently, and the Blue Artists. A lot of blues and sevens. I hope this is what you wanted. And even more good news on the revelation that this exists. The production team behind 2016's greatest movie is none other than Asylum, the same creators of Sharknado, and Titanic 2, and Bone Alone. I am genuinely ecstatic to learn they've done animated movies too. So, let's dig into this runtime of regrets.
Trolls have carried on in this secret competition of which to this day we like to think we're winning.
Did any of you catch any of that? Competition of which to this day?
Competition of which to this day.
Well, anyway, trolls exist. They pranked man. Man then journeyed on and forgot trolls existed, despite apparently having specific interactions with them and pranking them back. Sure. And here we are. There it is. As this dragonfly leads us to the grounds at Dick Van Dyke. We're set at a summer camp where these two kids are forced to action away from their unanimated Game Boys in 2016. And this camp counselor vibrates as she leans forwards to grab them. We are literally animated from like a glitchy game engine. Aww. And the dialogue is just killing it so far. My god, it's been 10 seconds and we have such a feast. And then immediately we come to this guy, another camp counselor of some kind, as he's clearly trying to capture a troll.
Irresistible.
Ah yes, what impeccable animation you have there for clearing your hands. I see no issues here. And so antics ensue. Olaf here plots down his bait bag and his golf cart only to see his trap snared. It's a squirrel, a demonic squirrel. And then another goes.
Sorry, ugly little bugaboos.
Wait a minute, I thought this buggy was out in the middle of the fields. What is this thing doing out here now? Oh, it's gotta be one of those 75 minutes. Trap 2 does involve trolls, as this time... Oh, they know we're watching and could just teleport around too? What the fuck? And the trolls rip up the guy's trousers, just in time for the kids to spot and embarrass him. Without the lady that was escorting them earlier. To which Olaf scoots away, even though his model doesn't have the rip anymore, and... there are no acceleration physics on his cart. And the kids run away from hearing the other trolls laugh.
Boy, you're really living up to your name.
What was her name? I mean, that was just the opener. That was supposed to be their best foot put forward. My god. Now, in case you were thinking this isn't really a Trolls movie ripoff, this is just a terrible movie about trolls, a true coincidence of an overlapping subject, I direct your attention to the release date of Trolland. It was October 25th, 2016. And as for the original Trolls movie, that was October 21st, 2016. It's the same week window, so it's not a matter of watching the Trolls movie and opting to make another one. This movie was intended to directly dupe audiences into watching the wrong Trolls movie upon coming to the cinemas. And that is the specific modus operandi of most Asylum movie releases. Bringing in recent highlights like Homeward, an orc-tastic journey of elvish proportions, as well as Top Gunner, Guardians of the Sky, and American Psychos, Clown, which ironically enough has a poster design that surprisingly goes incredibly hard. Is this a rip-off of another design somewhere? Because, like, I mean, that's a fantastic design, to be honest. Anyway, I'm getting a bit distracted.
Oops, time to go.
Ah, Finn.
And so we now meet the cursed-looking troll on the box art, Fen, who clearly isn't too invested in the idea of the family business of trolling. Oh my god, I just realized they're trolls who do trolling. I forgot the term, it's been so long. The plot is kind of mumbled back and forth for a while. Fen has a Spider-Man moment. And then this random stranger's head clips through her clothes on the way out. Glorious. And so here's what everything's about. A pranking competition with some immaculate carving font on that board. It's almost like it's just basic typing from a computer. And the crowd is just unapologetically duplicates of two generic models. This movie is built for function, not immersion. And look, the exposure settings over everyone updates mid-shot here. Immersion is barely an afterthought, as our cliche troll elder comes to make a speech.
The competition was intense. A lot of new faces out there.
Oh, there he is. This is what they shoved him into. This is Dick Van Dyke. How could you do this to such a national treasure? Or maybe he's in his element. Apparently he likes being hidden into green gremlin things. Anyway, there's 2 days left and Sister here is way in the lead. Though she doesn't have the ability to close her eyes when she's taking a nap, apparently.
Always on the lookout. Had their heads on a swivel, they did.
That's all you need to grab from this 4-minute monologue, so let's move on. How have I never noticed up to this point? Jarvik here has 2 sets of eyebrows on her, and they both emote separately at different times. I can barely even pass the logic behind these movements. It's one thing to have an under-budgeted engine to animate with, but I'm not sure I even understand what they are trying to convey with their animation. Anyway, Fen goes out to the forest wanting to make friends with the humans rather than pranking them. Oh, hold on a moment. Are the clouds actively spinning? I get what they were going for, but this is 100% not how that works, and it is so fast. Did the animators not even know how the sky works?
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Oof, that looked like that really hurt, judging by how the entire foot went through the steel trap there. Really convincing all around.
It worked.
Olaf!
Whoa! Gotcha.
What? I thought Fen was in a log somewhere and just kicked it. Now he was trapped and Olaf just appears? Oh, sorry.
Olaf!
It then only gets weirder as Fen animates with only half of his body. Olaf starts seeing heavenly lights and then steps on another one of his traps. To which Olaf whips out some eggs that explode upon impact. Where was this the whole time, Olaf? What kind of video game character attack have you been hiding this whole time? Also, Fen is now invisible for a moment, despite having normal smoke to hide from or something. I mean, I gotta admit, for an action scene, it certainly kept me hooked, just for all the wrong reasons. And it just never stops, this spectacle. Hey, isn't learning to animate a ball like literally the first lesson everyone has in animation? How is even this screwed up? So Fen goes and sits up a tree as we linger on Olaf some more, meekly returning home. He exposites about what just happened as well as his 30-year backstory, but we'll skip most of that. With movies like this, there is not a brain cell behind any given scene. It's all functional and shallow, so don't expect to pick up any themes or depths from this runtime. Got it all on the surface right here. Speaking of surface, this kid is next.
Mom's gonna freak when she sees there were giant Turners here and she missed it.
And he is not on the surface. This kid is on a log that's just floating midair. Did they notice? Is it meant to be a trick of the eye? It's not working. that kid can levitate. But magic's not enough to stop him being bullied by Mohawk Kid with his hands in his crotch and bold baby over there.
Frayden the friendless.
I don't know where these movies grab their stock laughing sound effects, because even the cliche bully characters just sound so detached from reality. It's almost an accomplishment that they're so off the mark. So after 60 seconds of a non-argument, they then throw around his notebook, of course, for more non-arguments, before the counselor comes in and breaks them up.
What have I told you about picking on the new kids? Honestly, I don't know what to do with you.
Everyone just sounds like that, huh? As Fen invisibly tackles remnants of that notebook. And also, that first kid's two other twins were there to witness. This movie is a train wreck. And as our bullied protagonist looks up to the sky and tries not to vomit at the sheer velocity of the planet he's on, he's caught by another nature trap. Though not before showing off his telekinetic skills with a notepad that goes anywhere except on his damn hand. And so the kid is stuck there for a while, until you'll never guess what happens. Fen comes in to save him. Ow! Yeah, that sounds about right. Why was there a slapping sound effect in there? What did that goblin even smack?
Okay, but if you don't want to eat me, why did you trap me?
I didn't trap you. That's a human trap.
I don't even know what to say about this. Typically, you kind of get used to the aesthetic of a movie, no matter how terrible it is. But the moment this kid here starts pulling out the hey gal face while trying to have a normal dull conversation, you know you're never gonna get used to this animation that's this poor. I mean, there was clearly never any hope of some actual lip syncing, but...
Well, you're the one in the troll trap. You tell me.
I mean, I don't really know what I was expecting. Man, I really need to lower my standards for animated movies, I guess. I mean, who needs to read animated lips anyway? So what happens next in this incredibly simple plot? Well, the two get discussing on the core conflict straight away.
Does Olaf try to trap you because you prank him, or did trolls prank him because he tries to trap you?
Alright, yeah, we get it. Literally the first possible moment we could strike right at the core, and we're there. And then there's Olaf again, doing something.
I see. That way.
And it's like, the two are kinda running away from him, but not really. The kid's just hopping on some logs or something. And now that they're 3 steps from where they started, they get rambling again.
I took a big risk.
Why?
You didn't have your eyes glued to one of those machines like everyone else.
Oh, it's one of these again. No nuance, no depth, just dogpiling on kids using phones. In a kid's movie. Nice.
You were like me. You see nature.
Yeah, looks pretty good to me. I tell you, the screeching howls of the dam really helped to bring together this whole peaceful set piece, you know? God diggity damn, this place is magnificent. So, as the troll family continue to cause minor inconveniences, they then reveal their big endgame plan to wipe the competition.
By doing what I just did to the whole camp.
And they don't linger on it any further. We are just skimming right through all the beats. Here's Olaf again, hunting and getting beaten for it.
Ow! Ow! Ouch!
Riveting. So we're finally back to the full camp as everyone heads to bed, just for this Hayden kid to come out again to Fen, so we're right back on this practically identical scene. Just it's nighttime now. While Olaf is still hunting about.
Aye! Aye!
Don't you have a counselor job to do, Olaf? Like, are you not an authority figure here, with some duties connected to the camp beyond finding mythical creatures? No, clearly not. So Hayden and Fen wander through a forest in the void, if the background is to be believed, as Fen reveals his food haul, and they discuss food. Is this enticing to anyone yet?
What's a hot dog?
You know what? I actually don't know.
Well, we made it. This is about as close to a real good joke we get.
Probably grubs.
And then you lost me. But with the next beat, Fen hints where his underground room is, to which Hayden remembers drawing it, and vice versa, they discuss home.
I live far away.
In the city.
What's a city?
Well,
you know what, maybe we should just skip this scene. The animation is obviously the highlight of our enjoyment of this film, and I can barely see any in this dark room. The dialogue is not going to keep my attention well enough if we're describing the human experience in exposition this entire time. So, it's the next morning. Hayden is panicked he'll be punished for being out all night, and Fen doesn't care.
Is that a problem?
Until suddenly, he does have consequences.
My sister would be super mad at me. I was out all night with a human.
Oh, okay. And naturally, they bump into Counselor Olaf again. I mean, there's only like 3 groups to keep up with, so it almost feels like this is all one big long scene since we see so much of everyone constantly. And as authoritative counselor man, is Olaf going to reprimand the kid for inexplicably being out all night in the woods? Or is he just going to assume the kid's been interacting with trolls? This man cannot get out of his obsession. Can he vote?
Green darners, blue...
I think you've seen a little more than that. You could tell me you saw something, didn't you?
Like, with how rare it is for Olaf to spot one when he's actively looking, how can he think this kid saw one on the fly? If that's the logic, why not recruit him if it sounds so easy?
Standing in the forest, standing in a golden...
Okay, this is getting a little weird and creepy. Someone please check this guy's hard drives.
Kick off!
Yeah,
let's go. Come on.
And apparently, someone put a bomb in the football. You made it halfway. Congratulations. What is wrong with you? Well, while you're here, do consider subscribing if you like or hate what you see. Terrible episodes release every 2 weeks on our current schedule, and I'm open to all suggestions over on our Discord server. Or check the link tree in the description to see all my other links. That's the whole beef of that scene. It is like 2 lines long, because the other counselor is commenting on how the camp is falling apart from the broken football. The movie at this point, it doesn't really know what to do with itself. So there's just these micro scenes instead. Always a good sign of competent filmmaking. Here's another one with the troll elder, commenting on an amateur prank of switching butter and mayonnaise and how he did it 22 seasons ago. Okay. And then we're back to the damn boy again.
This is great. We've got a free morning. I just have to be back by lunchtime.
Wait, what? Olaf just let him go earlier? But the kid said he was lost and trying to get back. Now he's free to stay out? I mean, I didn't really want another scene with a collection of paralysis demons over there, but at least sprinkle in some logic somewhere. But now Fen wants to take Hayden to his home.
I thought about it, and I think it's the right thing to do.
When? During the time that Hayden had one conversation and then came back? Like, you couldn't have spent at least a little bit more time mulling over it a little bit more. It's, oh, I've just stood on him. I had no idea where he was in the scene. He keeps changing around everywhere. Apparently it was under my foot. Gross. So next is the deer scene. Now there's a deer, modeled in practically a different art style to everyone else we've seen so far. But that's not the end of the visual mess. See, Fen is now wanting to feed it and teach Hayden how to do the same, with some berries. Bit of a pointless scene, a moment of being one with nature, sure. Except, as the deer is nibbling on Fen's food, Fen is sliding along the ground with Hayden like they are part of the same plane together. And then, as Hayden is feeding with his twitchy shoulder, ow!
Oops.
The deer runs away and moves the tree with it for a brief moment in time. Every asset in this movie is just cursed somehow.
They ain't here.
And apparently so are the sound effects. And so begins a montage. Fen and Hayden are enjoying nature everywhere, whilst Olaf and the bullies are being beaten down by nature and traps the whole time. The boys come to this giant tree with a saw blade stuck in it that's apparently an enigma.
No one knows how it happened, not even old Yusuf. Yusuf says no one has gotten it right yet.
But I thought no one knows how it happened, no? Regardless, the troll land is close by, except we need delays. We're only halfway through. Reaching there by lunchtime is bad, because that's Hayden's established curfew to get back. So everything undoes.
Come on, it's Sloppy Joe's for lunch today.
Yes, I'll show you the Warren then. I'll see you later this afternoon.
But it's an opportunity to finally get back to the family of trolls and their big bad plan. They intend to attack the totem pole, I don't remember that being a thing established at any earlier point in the movie, to fall over, hitting the water tower, that again was only established in a single shot during another one of those micro scenes, to then flush away the camp while everyone is away at the jamboree at the lake that evening.
Relax.
And all of it is told at this weird angle, like what are they looking at? Why are we here? What is that glowing thing in the corner, and is that Fen over there now?
Hey! Trying to sneak by us, huh?
What is going on? I am so confused on the abilities of these trolls, man. The delivery and the execution are truly throwing me through a loop. So now, of course, comes the trolls' confrontation underground, where Fen first diverts the idea that he's been with a human.
Olaf almost caught me. I wasn't paying attention and he grabbed me.
Only to then turn around and admit he was with humans.
But I met a human I can trust. He's the one that freed me from Olaf's trap.
Huh? When did that happen? I thought it was the other way round, unless you're talking about this moment where he's not caught, he's just holding on while up high. It's hardly Hero's mightiest moment.
You won't have to worry about punishing me, because I'm leaving for good.
And now how's that supposed to help the situation? If Fenn's whole game is stopping the cycle of mildest cartoon violence, then leaving the institution and allowing the others to continue is completely counterintuitive to that. Why do I always get wrapped into the logic of these terrible movies? Oh, God.
Don't worry, Yusuf. I'll bring him back.
He's still here, you realize? We don't have it in the animation budget to do a proper action scene. Running away can only ever really look like this.
I don't have to tell you.
Fen, come back here!
But he's escaped, and back at the camp, this counselor learns that the boats have been sabotaged, so moves this evening's events to the picnic area, on the collision course of the water tower later. Jarvik is hunting for Fen by sitting static on a tree throwing acorns of course, and the main boys meet up and make a plan.
Huh, it's funny. The only person who believed me is Olaf.
And somehow the VA's voice is getting more and more echoey as the film continues. Speaking of VAs, I'm pretty sure Fen over here recorded all of his lines strictly separately from everyone else, maybe even first, since even when spoken to about Olaf, everyone clearly pronounces it more akin to Frozen, and only he addresses the term as Olaf. No one was around to correct him, and the director certainly wasn't about, apparently. But Olaf looks to be their next plan, getting him on board to chase away the gang. I wouldn't have predicted the kid recruiting him, but I'll take it.
He could be our secret weapon.
Cut to a scene with noticeably funky exposition settings as the gang waste their time stuck on some flypaper.
Ah, boy, you're really living up to your name, huh?
He already said that. How has this guy run out of dialogue lines already? Did he have like 4? He's like that awkward guy in the group who only speaks when someone brings up his pre-prepared conversation starters or something. He's me when I'm feeling particularly awkward. What's the point of going invisible now, when everyone can clearly see the floating box? Ugh. Here's Olaf again, now able to easily spot a troll. Who'd have thought it was suddenly that easy? It doesn't go anywhere. Actually, everything doesn't really go anywhere for a while. We all know the next real beat is the big water tower plan. But what the Gobble Gang are actually up to is getting the tools for their evil deed and searching for Fen. It's all just wasted time of padding. Like this entire movie. Here they are, meeting again, and then splitting up again. Setting up like 4 or 5 other scenes they all have to go and investigate. These two smelling Fen and Hayden somehow, Olaf dawdling towards them, Jarvik almost catching the main boys of the tree but then not, just getting his bag.
Humans!
Hold on, do the trolls each come with their own mini rucksack? That's honestly adorable. Who tailors these? Olaf then successfully grabs those 2 other trolls, no traps needed, just a bag and some dummies for targets.
After all this time, 2 trolls in one day? Olaf, you are good.
You can really sense the relief and victory in his voice. Also, how very typical that Olaf manages to be Fen's secret weapon without them even having to approach him to recruit him on the task. Funny how things turn out like that, huh? You've also then got the bullies playing dominoes, Olaf caging the troll bag in more dreadful animation, and the other trolls digging through the backpacks.
He brought candy beetles for the human?
They then spot Hayden's notebook on the troll reveal, of course. Right as Hayden apparently is being chased by those bullies and also is now right on top of them.
Ben, are you here? I think we lost him. Ben, stop.
Ah yes, and he's fallen to the ground so far, he's starting to float in midair again. This kid's got multiple talents, man. It's not just art. But you know what talent he hasn't got? Intelligence! Like everyone else in this damn movie. Jarvik now appears in front of Hayden, telling him that this trap was actually all Fen's idea, and he's been pranked this entire time by him. All the while, Hayden continues to fly above a wallpaper of the forest floor, as is the notebook. And apparently Jarvik as well. What happened here? Jarvik starts ripping up the notebook, and Hayden, in his big brain ways, comes out with...
I thought you were my friend, but you're nothing but a liar!
Genius kid. And though Jarvik tries to do the opposite to Fen as well, claiming the kid was leading into Olaf, he rejects. Ironic that the smartest character, if we can even call it that, is the one with the stupidest face.
No, you listen to me. Hayden's one of the kindest beings I know.
And so, off he goes, notebook pages in hand as Jarvik just kind of rotates back there. Oh god, it's an Olaf jump scare. Swiping 2 more and taking the map as well, apparently. All the while, Hayden is moping away with a voice that is suddenly way more mature and older, arguing with an invisible Fen.
How do I know you're not lying right now?
Because I didn't lie to you about the dragonflies.
Aw, how sweet. Hey, wait! They specifically couldn't make other objects disappear? That's a continuity error! So as Fen is left in the dust as a reject, the action music kicks in, of course. Drama is a-brewing.
All right, kick off!
Fen now perfect in the firing range in his invisible form as Olaf is trying to make his way to the cabin with empty cages that somehow include the baggies of trolls. But he eventually makes it, and Jarvik only just notices everyone else is missing.
Well, I guess I can only count on myself.
I think your tree's hung itself again. Oof. And now the frame rate's going funky too. We're in the final 20-minute stretch, and looking at the next room we see, everything is really falling apart. Which is impressive to say considering everything else we have witnessed up till now. So Olaf seemingly is talking to himself with these invisible trolls in a bag, though there is a semblance of someone else being here.
Oh, so that's how it is.
Hey, does Olaf have a picture of the Queen in his room? Okay. So Fen distracts Olaf out of the cabin as Hayden, of his own volition, chooses to go inside and help the trolls, who are now visible.
You got pranked and you're still willing to help us?
You know, this is meant to be the emotional highlight of the film, as these indoctrinated trolls realize that humans have some of the same positive values as they do, and maybe there doesn't need to be such a divide. You know, there are messaging lines like,
family and friends are the only real thing anybody has. You always take care of your family.
You see what they're going for in their most generic of cliche family-friendly, good morals, no-depth kind of ways. But at the same time, it's met with a response that is this, that has no irony in it.
I don't think a troll's ever said that to a human before.
I'm supposed to take this seriously? Lady didn't even bend at the knees to make that jump. Not even trying. So Hayden nabs Fen as well in mere seconds. Olaf now has an entire super tractor, again within seconds, and all the trolls combine with Hayden, other than Jarvik, for the final 10 minutes.
Gonna be famous, gonna be famous, gonna be famous.
Woof. I think we've somehow topped one of the worst design shots so far. I mean, floating rows of bushes, and these trolls are so high up off the ground they'd break a bone if real physics decided to kick in. So Hayden only now clicks that the water tower idea will wipe out the newly relocated kids, and Fen returns to the Elder.
If he was here right now, I'd take my stick and...
But they stop him instantly with a sheet of some kind of paper. What is this?
Running now. Run faster.
Oh, no, you don't.
Have I just stumbled into a board game roleplay or something? I feel like I've dived into that one mini board game from Mario Party 5. Too niche of a reference? Here's Jarvik slicing at that totem pole as the duplicate kids exist. And Hayden with the others appears to chat.
If you pull this prank, you'll be the monster Olaf thinks you are.
And then she stops as Olaf...
Sorry, no, these ugly little bugaboos.
Starts to reuse his dialogue lines again. We must really be at the end of the movie. But also...
Just gotta catch one.
Is there like a hint of produced animation in there? Since when does Olaf run properly or have an actual swing to his trap? Although he's still straight-legged and the knot still does nothing. But look, the camera moved. Brilliant. I think this somehow wins for best shot in the film. Shame Fen is just a giant floating body when he's talking to Olaf. Not to mention, this shot ends with... the actual glitchiest shot of the whole film too. But hey, with Asylum, you really gotta run with the punches, you know? And he does a superhero landing on the air, as you do. And actually, I take back all of my praises. I guess it was literally for a third of one shot because everything afterwards is the worst I have ever seen.
I can't believe that worked. Uh-oh. Yow!
How do you screw it up that badly? How is it so like this? Olaf then goes on to shove his face in another trap for some reason, and more feet traps, until...
Mr. Olaf, for years we've pranked you. We're sorry.
And also the Elder comes out around now with...
I'm sorry, too. I pranked you into that pond, you were a little boy.
Not quite sure the motives behind him for suddenly switching teams, but hey, whatever. I'm 67 minutes into this mess, and I cannot wait to get out.
And we're sorry.
Well, I'm not.
Oh my god. Now they're even rotated incorrectly. Why is my boy standing like he needs to pee? And as they talk some more about the issue of the cycle and toxic traditions, yada yada, they all come to a mutual understanding. Fenn is put forward as the new leader for some random reason. Dick Van Dyke isn't going anywhere as a troll. He gives another monologue speech about his convictions over the cycle. Also, there's another bit about who won the competition. It's Jarvik. No one else cares, and neither do I. And eventually, finally, we end off our runtime with...
I got a lot to teach you first.
If you can handle me, you can handle this.
And the shot continues with everyone sliding along the floor at a weird angle, because that's the norm. Oh, and an epilogue too. God, this movie never ends. Hayden has all the Giga Chad personality now.
Hey, Frayden.
It's Hayden. We know.
Do you? You know I can outrun either of you.
Come on, Hayden isn't fun anymore.
Everyone's faces have melted in the new sun physics. Olaf plays with the trolls now. They have a great summer together. What is that? And we end off with Dick Van Dyke narrating us to our post-film explanation.
Afterwards, she found new purpose, helping Fenn steer the Warren.
Unfortunately, we can't understand it over the overbearing soundtrack playing over the top of the whole thing. And that was the terrible Trolls ripoff. Oh my god, that was top contender for one of the worst films I have ever seen. It was visual vomit, and I never got used to it. Not to mention the voice acting by everyone was awful. I'm gonna head out, grab some soap for my eyes and ears.
And finally, you can rest now. That is the end of our compilation for today. 3.5 hours worth of terrible content. Do you really want more? Well, either way, we're going to be making more terrible episodes in the future, and I'm sure there's still plenty of ugly, ugly ones to talk about. So subscribe if you've made it all the way to the end of this. But otherwise, on that note, I shall finally end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video, and I shall see you all in a little bit. Bye-bye.